Oh, it's Basketball Bonanza Live, presented by Xfinity. The chaos has started and the show's barely even underway. Christine Williamson, King McClure, I'm Jason Fitz. We're going to just let you know right out of the gates, we got a wheel over here. This wheel is going to come into play later on. King decided to adjust the wheel right as we were coming to air.
It was in my face.
Okay. Well,
I wanted my face to be shown, so it was in my face. I'm sorry.
That is a very, very fair thing.
I'll fix it.
No, I like it. It sort of adds to the charm. Here's what I know. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours, commercial-free, watching the games with you, getting you caught up on what happened, and make sure that you know what's happening right now. Obviously, we're going to have some chaos. It's a show, which means I'm probably going to end up eating hot, spicy things that I don't want to eat. King's going to rank some things, and Christine's going to make fun of us all the whole time.
Yay! I like that role.
We got it? Like,
yeah,
how are we?
perfect.
By the way, we're going to have a ton of special guests come in, but the hot rumor is that out of 2 million brackets, like.
Oh, yeah. Out of 20 million brackets.
20 million brackets.
That were filled out, only 30,000 are. I might have that completely wrong.
I was told
I try to remember the numbers, but it's a bunch of brackets are busted. There's only 30,000 that are actually still, and I feel like I'm one of those people that my bracket got busted.
Did your bracket already get busted?
I've done multiple brackets, so I need to double check.
How many did you do?
3.
Okay, that's normal. That's okay. That's acceptable.
Is there a rule on this? Like, I don't know. We go through this every year. How many brackets
Greenberg
do you do?
told me to do multiple brackets.
I do 1.
Okay.
I think anything over 5 is a little excessive. If you go over 5, you're pushing kind of like psychopath.
Look, I got an email from Hembo that works on Get Up and with Greeny and does great work, and it was all the analytics on how to pick based on previous years, and this seed always beats this seed, and this matters from this. And I read it for like 3 minutes, and my eyes glossed over, and then I just went out like, a child, blindfolded myself, and went pop, 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 and came through. I don't even know at this point.
Well,
I don't know.
I did an hour-long show with Jay Billis in which he chose Arizona as the champion, and that's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem because Arizona's done. I mean, in a world where we weren't sure what the games were going to look like, we got some quick updates here. Early on, we got close games. Maryland wins a 2-point game in the 8-9 game early on. Virginia upholds their annual tradition of getting beat every year in the first round because they're Virginia. And then just when you thought, well, a 4 versus a 13, it's not that shocking. Well, now we have a 2 versus a 50. We were just watching with everybody else as Virginia goes down. So, not Virginia, sorry.
Arizona.
As Arizona goes down. So it has been a wild first day out of the gates. I don't think that surprises anybody, but that's part of what this is all about.
I mean, that's why we love March. That's why we love March Madness. We love this tournament because you never know what's going to happen.
All right, we're going to give you specifics on all the results, but before we do that, let's get to the opening thoughts, okay? And obviously, we're barely into this thing. We're a toe deep in this. So a bunch of people, you guys are watching, you're sitting in your favorite restaurant bar having an adult drink. You're barely into this thing. So it's early for an opening thought, but King, so far, your opening thought is?
I feel so bad for Kihei Clark. I mean, a guy who has done so much for a Virginia program, been that point guard who led them to the championship back in, I want to say my senior year, that was 2018, 2019 year. And for him to go out the way that he went out tonight, I mean, getting trapped in the corner and just throwing a pass. I don't know what my man was doing. Call timeout, look to your right. I mean, he's short. He's only about 5'7", 5'8", but call timeout and you save the possession. But you try to throw a full court heave that wasn't even close to the guy. And he turns it over, and they hit the big 3, game over. Virginia gets upset. So I just feel bad for Kihei Clark, a guy who has done so much good, to just go out sad like that.
It sucks to go out like that, too, because he also obviously was a part of that upset that they had the year before in 2018. So, like, the fact that he's ending his career on an upset like that is heartbreaking.
Well, it was also kind of ironic timing because it happened minutes after you were on Fitz and Harry, a great radio show. You can check it out on ESPN Radio, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And I asked you, does guard play matter? Like, how much does it matter? And you said in that moment, almost like you're psychic, you said, hey, it matters on being able to make the right decisions. The ball's going to be in the guard's hands when the game's on the line. And then we're sitting there, 2 minutes later watching somebody right after you hang up get caught on the baseline and not know what to do with the basketball. So, I think you're psychic. That's what we've learned.
And what's crazy is my man actually missed the free throw about 30, 40 seconds before. He had 2 free throws, missed the first one. Had he made both, they wouldn't even be in that predicament. So I just feel so bad for Kihei Clark.
Do you want to give us a quick opening thought?
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought we were going to welcome in a friend.
I thought we were too, but I just was going rogue, and I was going to let you get in your thoughts.
Mine is really quick because especially after the games that we saw today, I feel like the only thing that we know for sure that Alabama is really, really good, and then everybody else that kind of just fills in around that. All the conversations that I've had so far when it comes to brackets outside of Jay Billis, in which he had Arizona as his champion, most people put Alabama as their champion, of course, because of Brandon Miller and how well they've been playing this season. So I feel like that's the only one thing that people are sure about as we go into March, that Alabama is going to make it far in the tournament.
Yeah, well, and my big thought is that who the hell knows? So, look, that's just where we are.
Yeah.
One thing I do know is that the special guest power on this show is going to be delightful, and it starts right now with the most famous TikTok person in all of ESPN, Gary Striewski, joining us.
You say famous TikTok? Omar's not here, but you're going to get me. Okay. All right, listen, hey.
That's fair.
Omar's not here. He's somewhere on a sideline or a baseline, so he's probably at the tournament right now.
You came in from the stairs?
Oh, my God.
Hey, that was cool.
Were you remodeling?
Should I sit right here?
You can sit right next to us.
This is great, guys.
Yeah?
This is great. Fantastic point, too, about Kihei. That's just absolutely.
Isn't that
It's
awful?
sad.
Absolutely.
So
What a
sad.
tough go, dude.
So sad.
If it were smell-o-vision, I just want the world to know you smell good right now, man.
That's this new I got going on.
What is it?
It's a mix between two.
Okay.
What is it?
It's a little Creed. It's a little Baccarat. Mix it together.
A little baccarat.
I'm a Baccarat person.
A little baccarat. Okay.
A little 540.
I'm just old white man enough that when you said Nunu, I just figured that was the name of the brand. It was like, all right, Nunu.
my
I've
God.
never heard of it, but there we go.
Go with that.
Just go
Hey,
with
go
it.
with that.
Do you have a big opening thought for the tournament so far you want to share with us?
I got no opening thought that hasn't been touched on already, because that was a perfect segue when you said Brandon Clark in Alabama, like leaps and bounds ahead of most players or teams. That's who I have winning the tournament. I mean, I think we've seen enough of them. They've been under the microscope for good or worse, right, leading up to these last couple of weeks that, I mean, they're just blocking out the noise. And I feel like the bigger the stage gets, the better they perform. And Brandon Miller, man, if it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama, I would have him be the #1 pick going into this draft. I mean, he is nasty. What, Paul George comps? Right?
Paul George for real.
Paul George in his prime, like, he's nasty.
But you've talked about blocking out the noise and how that's not as easy in the tournament, right?
Yeah. It's not, because, I mean, when you play in Alabama, you play in your home court, you can kind of sort of guard the media that comes in. But Dallin made a great point that when you get away from your home and you go to different territories, unfamiliar, you can't control what the media says.
Well, it wasn't even only that. It was also the fact that you're going from, okay, if we expect Alabama to go super far, right? You go from regional media to, more national media to then international media as you get closer and closer to the championship. And the fact that, but you made a good point in that conversation too, that Brandon Miller, after all of that stuff went down, he was still able to block out all the noise and perform on the basketball court. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how everything kind of plays out.
All right. Well, you want to stand up? You want to hang out with me? We're going to do some prop
What's going to
bets.
happen?
Oh, yes.
We're doing prop bets.
I was like, what?
Standing.
We're just stretching. I'm showing this off. Look at these hips. I've been working on these hips all year. Look at them.
You've been hitting it hard, dude.
Fitz goes to work out almost every single morning.
6 days a week. 6 days a week right now. Woo! Hips.
Listen,
all right.
Fitzy be posting how many calories he burns every day, and I'm
40,000 this year.
That's why he has the skinny jeans on, guys.
40,000.
He's trying to show off them legs.
Them jeans are a little tight. Hey, don't stretch too much.
They're perfectly tight.
Don't stretch too much.
It's all good, man. It's the internet. You can show a little more.
Okay. All right. Not leaving much to the imagination. All right, so this is what we're going to do here. This is a prop bet board, okay? And you are going to be placing your bet on behalf of all the guests because you are esteemed guests.
Oh, beautiful.
So I have here for everybody to see, I have these beautiful logos, and they match different teams, right? So we're just going to go around the room, and we're going to figure out how we think these things are going to go.
Okay, beautiful.
All right, if you are wrong on any of these, for Christine, for King, if you're wrong, I have this fabulous box of Bean Boozled. So for every one of these,
Oh, dude, those are dirty,
so
bro.
for every one of these that you get wrong at a time on a prop bet, you got to eat a Bean Boozled.
So bad.
Whoever gets the most wrong out of us will then come over at the end of the show.
Damn, this got
and they
levels.
will spin the Wheel of Doom, all right? The Wheel of Doom includes things like a pie in the face, a spoonful of wasabi, a tortilla slap, more beans, somebody else from the show getting to tweet from your account. I particularly like that one.
That's great.
Jumping jacks for 5 minutes.
Someone's going to get fired.
Eating dog food is also on this list. I'm not making it up, but my body's a shrine, so I can't lose.
I
all right,
can't get pied. Just FYI.
Oh, yeah.
Also, hey, Christine going back and forth whether or not she's gluten intolerant, so she better not lose that one either.
Well, tortilla to the face has nothing to do with gluten, so I'm just.
The tortillas are also gluten-free.
Okay, good. I'm not brilliant on these things. All right, so we're gonna go through first. So we need a winner. We'll let our guest pick first. Auburn, Iowa winner.
Give me Auburn.
Okay. King, Auburn, Iowa winner.
I just like the fighting Bruce Pearls.
Look, I'm gonna go with Iowa.
Same.
You know what?
I'm already off to a hot start.
Man, I don't really trust Iowa's offense, but I'm going to go Iowa because I'm scared to take Auburn in that situation. All right, Duke, Oral Roberts. Will Coach K
No.
be in attendance?
Coach K he's retired for a reason. He's got better things to do. He's
Also,
gonna be like,
this
yo,
is like not the game to go to.
Coach Shire, hit me up if y'all crack the top or the Sweet 16.
Right.
I'll pull up.
Christine said no.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah,
I'm also going to say no because that's a lot of travel when he knows they're going to end up at the Final Four anyway.
Coach K's not pulling up.
Hold on, don't sleep on Oral Roberts. Don't sleep on Oral Roberts.
Yeah, of course. We're not sleeping on them.
No, I want to be very clear. I'm sleeping on Oral Roberts, just so we're clear. All right, Texas Colgate, first bucket. This one's easy. Gary, Texas Colgate, first bucket.
I mean, God, I don't want to go chalk per se, but give me Texas.
Okay. You got Texas?
Give me Tejas.
Man, I ain't picking Texas for nothing. Go Colgate.
Look at that. Look at that.
Hey, real quick.
I wish you guys could have.
School?
I wish you could have.
Oh, cool. At Baylor. Forgot. Yeah.
This one is a little bit more interesting because I'm going to go Texas.
Texas is going to win the tip. Outlet, boom, ball. They're going to score in the first 4 seconds of the game.
First 4
Wow.
seconds.
Yeah.
Also, 4 seconds right next to guest.
Win the tip, outlet, ball. First
I also think Texas is going to. So the problem is here we got a lot of matching. So now the one difference so far is this. Now, Boise Northwestern halftime leader.
Randy Scott, if you're watching this, this is for you. Northwestern, halftime lead and end of game lead, which means they're going to win.
And Gary's on SportsCenter AM with Randy Scott. He's already in bed, right? Like he's in bed, right?
He might be doing radio right now.
Oh, that's probably a fair
He might
point.
be doing radio.
Boise Northwestern, King.
Y'all take Boise because someone's got to lose.
I'm gonna do what he said. I'm gonna take Boise.
Okay.
Let's go Boise.
Christine.
Go Boise.
I'm going to go Boise Western.
What?
Did you say Boise Western?
Yo, can't lose if you take them both.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to go with Northwestern.
Okay. Now, this is
hey,
just
the
a
smart kids.
strategic. This is a strategic. Like this is either going to doom me, or this is
help
going to
you.
This is going to help me. But I am desperately hoping that it sends
down
me
to
where I want
just
to be.
that one.
Right. If it comes down to because you and I have agreed on everything else, I feel like
yeah.
out of pure principle, I'm just taking the other because frankly, content's always
Hey,
good for the network.
Give us a sample, just a quick sample of what you would potentially tweet from C-Dub's Twitter.
I'd made him do it.
Like your Venmo tag?
I mean,
Hey, yo, I'm raising money
I'm
for this
desperate for
charity.
money.
Here's the thing.
Send.
Like, I sit next to Christine all the time. King hops on a flight, flies back to Texas. He's safe for a while. King should be the one that gets to decide on what's going to do.
That's
Venmo
true.
tag is.
All right. You can sit back.
Honestly, I'd probably say something like, surprise, I'm growing my hair out.
Hey, don't give it away.
Then everybody would cry.
I would
the
probably
replies
do
would be
something
crying.
dating related. It would probably be something.
That's actually a good bet. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get you out of here with a friendly competition amongst
beautiful.
all of our guests.
I love a good friendly
Very simple. All right. I'm going to give you a name, and all you have to do is quickly tell me if it's a player or a rapper.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Right?
Yeah.
Tiger Campbell.
UCLA.
Okay.
Here we go.
So easy. I just had his highlight like the other
Jarris
day.
Walker.
Wow.
H-Tyne?
Okay.
Is that Go Cougars? That's Cougars, right?
Cougs.
Whoa.
Is it? No,
is.
that's the Shockers.
Nah, I
Or
don't.
that's-
Nah.
I don't think
It's
the
something like
shocker
this.
is
Listen,
Disney
no,
appropriate.
I mean, H-Town like
Is
this?
it?
No, the
H-Town-
University of
Houston
Houston
is like this.
Either way. H-Tyne?
This is really great because these feel so awkward when I'm reading
Yeah.
them. Joseph Cartagena.
Joseph who?
Cartagena.
Oh, Cartagena. Lean back.
Okay.
That's Fat Joe.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm old, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Fat Joe, like I was at homecoming.
So far, you're
Hey,
killing it.
lean back. Hey, Fat Joe.
Leaky Black.
Leaky, they ain't even in the tournament.
All right.
UNC?
Bill Capri.
Come on, bro. Bill Capri. We could have been superstars.
Ace Baldwin.
That's Kodak Black. Ace Baldwin is the guard for VCU.
Jordan Walker.
Gosh, that could go either way. Player.
That's a player.
Hey, I don't know.
UAB?
Oh,
Jelly,
okay.
Jelly
okay.
Walker.
All right.
George Ramirez.
That's Cap G.
Jamison Battle.
Oh, Jamison Battle is, gosh, who's he play for? He's a player.
Are you sure?
Don't do that to me, Fitz. Don't do that
I'm just asking if you're sure. I'm just.
Yeah, wait, who does he play for? Jamison Battle. I know you can't help me, but player.
You got them
For
all right?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. All right. Wait, I went 10 for 10? Or
You went 10 for 10. Although, like, here's
Those rappers.
I'm not.
know rappers
I don't
names.
know for sure, but I kept hearing little like gaps in one ear. Are we sure that nobody was feeding Gary any help? Nobody feeding Gary any help?
First of all,
Just
I
check.
listen. Hey, Kodak Black and Fat Joe. That's on the playlist, and then Cap G. I got to keep up with the Gen Zers. You know what I'm saying?
But how do you know their real names? I don't know any
I
rappers'
never knew
real names,
Kodak Black's
except for
real name.
Aubrey
I
Graham.
only know it because it's so ridiculous, bro. In terms of being like Calvin Brodus. Oh, Snoop Dogg. Oh yeah, Bill Capri. Yeah, that's Kodak Black. It's weird.
Okay, Snoop is a little. Okay, go ahead. All right. You know what,
No
Gary?
disrespect to Snoop Dogg. He's probably watching or somewhere in the building.
Life goal is for me to party with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson in one night, and I'll just quit my life. I'll just sit there all week.
Party. What does that entail?
All right,
better
thank you so
leave.
much, Gary.
I better
We
leave.
appreciate it. Gary, thank you so much. Everybody can check out Gary Striewski
All right.
on the AM Sports Center.
Tomorrow.
As always,
7
having
a.m.
a
Wake
good
up.
time.
Set your alarms. I gotta go.
Bye, G Money.
Bye, Gary. These are the games in progress right now. Auburn is beating Iowa 16-12. So far, 18-12. So far, Gary looks to be winning that bet
Whatever.
18-12. Whatever.
He's leaving, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, no. He's also. I don't have to sleep on Oral Roberts because they fell asleep at the beginning of this game. 11-0 early.
Oh, gosh.
Oral Roberts forgot tip-off time, apparently.
Max, what happened?
I mean, it's early. There's plenty of time.
He had 0 points.
There's plenty of time. Also, Texas Colgate, that game looks like it tips off in about 8 minutes. So Texas Colgate, a big one for us, especially for King right now. Although I didn't really strategery this very well because, no, I mean, I guess there's a chance like we can't all tie. I don't know how this is going to work. We could all end up spinning the wheel. I'm not good at math.
What happens if we tie? Do we all spin the wheel?
The producers have the next hour and 43 minutes to figure that out.
Okay.
Apparently, if you're just tuning in, we will be with you all the way until 9 p.m. Eastern. Christine Williamson, King McClure, I'm Jason Fitz. We're hanging out, get you caught up on all the action. Again, the big news from the course of the day, obviously 2 huge upsets. 13-seeded Furman beat 4th-seeded Virginia 68-67 on a wild ending to that game. Kansas struggled a little bit early on, but ended up getting the win. And then the big upset tonight, Princeton has beat Arizona, the 15th seed beating the 2 seed 59-55. So I think at this point that's where we are. Gets us kind of caught up on everything. You see right there some of the scores coming in. Biggest surprise, obviously, Arizona. It's the bracket buster.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know something about those Ivy Leaguers. Yale popped us in the first round my freshman year. It was a 5-12 upset, though, but...
And then Makai Mason.
And then Makai Mason became my teammate my senior year. Makai Mason, in that game, had 30.
Yeah, he was
But
a
you know
bucket.
what? I only had 1 point in that game. I played like 5 minutes. So I refused to be a part of that upset.
No.
Okay.
Does it work that way?
No.
Okay.
But no. But I didn't get upset. I did my job.
You see some of the other results there. 7-seeded Missouri beating Utah State 10-seed 76-65. Again, Kansas struggled a little early in what was pretty surprising to most of us, but by halftime had a 15-point lead and then pulled away as King expected they would, right? They're just physically better.
Yeah, I mean, Grady Dick just showed how good and versatile he is. I mean, 11 boards to go along with 5 assists. The guy is more than just a shooter. I mean, he gets labeled as a 3-point spot-up shooter all the time. He's more than just that. He is a great basketball player that knows how to play the game the right way, decision-making, athleticism. What he brings to the table for Kansas is something that's really irreplaceable.
Well, we at this point will keep our eye on the first bucket for Texas Colgate, as we have a prop bet on that, and King is the only person that's picked Colgate. So there'll be a lot of pressure. You stand by that pick now that you've had a second to think about it? Baylor boy?
Man, I can't pick Texas.
Baylor boy.
I can never.
Baylor
King?
Baylor King.
I can never pick Texas. I mean, especially in a game like this, I'm always going Colgate. UT Horn.
I don't know. We're looking at video of them stretching right now. They're looking a little loose, so they look like they're ready to get a bucket.
Well, you know who else is just looking ready to go and raring? Drew Carter, joining us now. Drew Carter, is everybody coming down the stairs? Is that how we're doing this? Like, Drew's, oh, look at that.
Fitz, I'm loose because I walked up the stairs to walk down.
Okay.
No, the door to enter is up there.
By the way, this isn't a live camera. All right, I'm going to show you my socks over here on this camera.
But he was, that was a really special moment.
I was told there would be corgi content today.
No, there is corgi content.
I have a corgi, so.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's precious.
I have 4 pairs of corgi socks, including these.
Is that your actual corgi
that is
on this?
Thor's face.
Okay, Thor.
Corgi, Thor the corgi.
Thor the corgi. He's
I'm loving
wow.
this.
Is that because he's like, does Thor have superpowers, or is it just because Thor is for a corgi particularly monstrous? I mean, they're tiny dogs. But.
It's more ironic, I would say, but he does have the superpower of melting your heart, Fitzy, which he does with
wow,
everyone you
that's
see.
so kind.
Yeah, kind of like C-Dub over here.
Yeah, always.
You melted America's hearts, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Big Green City Classic, the NHL feature.
No, wait, stop.
Big City.
I saw Drew walking through the hallway in this suit that he was wearing for this, and I was so confused because he was leaving the calf and walking around like he was just in normal, everyday clothing.
Right.
And he had that freaking suit on, and I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Well, it's kind of like, you know how, like when you're a theater kid in high school, like you got to get over your stage. I wasn't, but this is why I have to do this now when I'm 25. You have to get over your stage fright, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing more embarrassing than walking through ESPN's campus wearing that.
I was so
that's fair.
confused.
And I saw Christina, I'm like, what's up, C-Dub? How you doing? Like, just totally played it cool. I'm like,
and I was like, what?
Like, how's Miami going to do in the tournament this year?
Right.
Like, nice Jay Bilas show. I saw that. Meanwhile, just decked out in like a schmedium mocap suit.
Okay. The first time when I was down at the ESPNU at the time, shares the headquarters with SEC Network, and it was my first day. And I walk in, and there's like one tiny green room, only place you can change. And at the time, Marcus Spears was taking that whole green room. I didn't know Marcus; he was changing. So I walk into the bathroom, and all the stalls are taken. And I was like, well, I have to get in a suit. I have to do this show. It's my first day ever there.
You wear suits?
I sometimes. So I just dropped my pants in the middle of the bathroom.
Attaboy.
And just as I dropped my pants in the middle of the bathroom, I'm standing there in my underwear trying to make this, like, all of a sudden Feinbaum walks in. And he just walks in and looks at me. He's like, I'm like, hey, Paul, I'm Jason. He's like, okay.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Okay. So I feel you on that.
It's funny you mentioned Marcus Spears because he's up in Bristol now. I saw him in the green room over at DC2 yesterday. I rolled in. He was talking with Laura Rutledge, getting ready for NFL Live, and they both started laughing at me in my mocap suit. I'm like, don't laugh. This is my professional attire today.
It was weird.
You also
didn't know,
laughed at me.
yes, if you didn't know what exactly was going on, which at the time I did not, I was just very confused. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but people seem to like
it. Was so cool.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
fun.
It was so cool.
It was a really cool broadcast. I hope they do more of it. And you absolutely kicked the snot out of it. They're showing the
That's not me,
here.
by the way. That was the stand-in.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why the muscles look so small on that guy.
Okay. 100%.
That was the stand-in.
Obviously, you're far more swole. Well,
we can see, yeah.
you mentioned the love of corgis.
Yeah.
So to help us decide which team we're going to talk about first with you, we're going to have our new little loaf friend, Lilo, do a little bipping and bopping and booping into buckets. Check this out. Right, Lilo?
Oh, my God, this is Lilo.
Wow.
Yep.
This is Steph Furry.
Exactly.
Dude, I basically have
Yes.
Instagram notifications on for Steph Furry's posts. I love Steph Furry.
Well, Steph Furry just nailed it into Duke. We'll show you more. That's just the beginning. I got to hang out with, almost Steph Furry the other day. So we'll show you some of that. But Duke, let's talk Duke here. I was told not to sleep on Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts right now is down 11-0.
Yeah.
I have Duke in my Final Four. But let's be honest, though, guys, it took Duke a second to sort of figure everything out this year, right? There was a period where it was like, Duke's not good. And then all of a sudden they're Duke again.
Well, I think that's why they're the 5 seed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their non-conference was not that impressive, but Duke is a young team. I mean, this is what they've been for the last 5-10 years. Like, you see Filipowski there. He's actually been their best freshman this year, which I think is surprising.
Very.
Derek Lively was the #1 recruit, and he's sort of picked it up as the season went on. He's a real difference maker defensively. That guy, Tyrese Proctor, should be a senior in high school right now. He's from Australia, so I don't know if they call it high school or like secondary school or whatever it is down under, but he's 18 years old, just turned 19. It's a young team that's clearly figuring it out. I think they got way underseeded. And playing Oral Roberts in the first round, totally unfair for them.
Okay, but here's the thing. For two things, because Fitz mentioned the fact that we didn't talk that much about Duke towards the beginning of the season because they were kind of like stumbling and then they started going on a run a little bit. Is there a reason for that? Because I feel like what we do is we put UNC and Duke together, and UNC had an awful season, and then we're like, so all of the teams that are good in the ACC suck.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We just kind of push them to the side, and then it's like, wait, Duke is on an 8-game win streak going into the ACC tournament. They're actually doing really well. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because I got to get this off my chest.
Uh-oh.
The ACC was disrespected as a whole yet again. It's 2 straight calendar years of everybody disrespecting the ACC. We saw what they did in March last year. They were the best conference in the tournament. I know the Big 12 got the championship like they have for the last 2 years, King. But the ACC had 3 teams in the Elite 8. They had 2 teams in the Final Four. Duke and UNC, ever heard of them? Just because Carolina sucked this year didn't mean the entire league sucked this year. Duke's really good. Miami's really good. Miami was a 10 seed last year, made the Elite 8. If Norchad Omier, thank you. If Norchad Omier didn't roll his ankle, I think a lot of people would have them in the Elite 8 or the Final Four. It's a really good conference. Clemson didn't make it. NC State was underseeded. Pittsburgh was in a first 4 game. They were leading the ACC in late February.
Yeah.
The ACC. Like, I know Ken Pom has them as the 8th best conference or whatever, but it's still the ACC.
Okay, I have 2 questions. One for you and then one for you. Do you think Clemson should have made the tournament?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think Clemson should have made the tournament?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I can't ignore. You've been, like, Christine's been teaching you how to side-eye because he's just sitting there saying, the floor is yours, good sir, to retort to any of this.
I mean, for me, I just think the ACC gets talked about the way it does because when you look at it from top to bottom, the top is always pretty strong, but the bottom is so trash that it's not even funny. I mean, when you look at, like, numbers like after 6 or 7, the drop-off is amazing. And North Carolina was a team who just got hot in the tournament. They played a good 6 games, but I blame the media, and I asked for part of the media, but I blame the media for giving them that #1 ranking that they didn't deserve. They go hot, they get hot in the tournament. Your 2 best players, Caleb Love and RJ Davis, didn't even make one of the first 3 All-American teams in the ACC. Those guys are jackers. They're not guys who make shots. They just take shots. My man, not even hating. Caleb Love shot, I want to say 47, the 4 overtime game. He shot 47 shots to get 35 points.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
47 shots. You don't even get that many attempts in warm-ups. So for you to shoot that in a game, you're just taking shots. And I think that we overrated North Carolina and did them a huge disservice. But you're right, though. The top of the ACC is good, and they do get disrespected.
I do like that we've faunted you, by the way, Syracuse alum and Pembroke Welsh Corny enthusiast.
That's right. Got to get the Pembroke in there.
Oh, you did? You went to Syracuse. That's why you up here hyping the ACC.
And you know what, King? My senior year, this is why I'm mad at the Big 12.
Yeah.
Because my senior year, Syracuse was an 8 seed or a 9 seed, went to Salt Lake City. Guess who beat us?
The Baylor?
This guy at the Baylor Bears.
That's what we look. That's what we did.
Dude, I have nightmares about Makai Mason to this day.
I love Makai. He's one of my favorites.
I do love Makai. You know what else is crazy? The fact that you're 25, right? This is the first show I've ever done on ESPN where somebody is actually younger than me.
I don't know
Crazy,
what
right?
you're about to say, but it's disrespectful.
I mean, the fact that I'm actually old enough to, like, easily be your dad is a little disturbing, but
Fitz, you don't look like it, though.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you very
you
much. I
really
appreciate
don't. I'm not even just
appreciate
saying that because we're on national television.
I appreciate
But
that.
you don't look like it.
But I realize now that
It's because he's been working out.
Right, especially with those flexible
I
hips.
mean, these hips, right?
I also think it's the skinny jeans, too.
Yeah,
like no dad could pull out the skinny jeans like you.
Yeah, well, that's why I never had kids, because I wanted to be able to pull off skinny jeans size in my 70s, right? Like, that's an obvious. Does Thor have any tricks, by the way? Like, I mean, because
he has one. He's like a Matt Bonner type. He's a one-trick pony. all he does is one thing. If you tell him to sit, he'll shake. He's a lefty. He'll hit you with the shake. You tell him to lie down, he'll shake. Roll over, shake. That's all he can do.
So he can only do that.
But he like aggressively shakes. That's so cute that you want to just give him the treat.
That's only funny to me because the itty bitty tiny legs, like it's not. Yeah. It's like little T-Rex legs.
I was going to say that too.
Like 3 inches long. Hey, can I say one more thing about the ACC before we go?
Of course.
You're right that the bottom of the league sucks, right? Especially Louisville. But because of Louisville and Georgia Tech to an extent, all the metrics say the ACC is terrible. Yeah. And it's not fair to the other teams. Like, Duke isn't worse because Louisville's awful.
That's fair.
You know, so the ACC gets the bad metrics on KenPom, and then everyone says, oh, well, the ACC can't be very good.
That's a great point.
I work every day on radio, Fitz and Harry, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, my God. How many plugs?
With the Louisville Hall of Famer. Maybe come up with the code word for that next time, because tomorrow all I'm going to hear the whole time is like, you're on a show, you're banging on Louisville the whole time. That's what you just did to me.
I'm working with Luke Hancock tonight on ACC Network. Check it out. After the March Madness coverage, whenever that is. It's weird TV rights.
You know, I like the fact that you got to plug in, though. Like, you come over here, you get a plug in. That's what we do.
Also Tyler watch Snapchat tomorrow at 5 a.m. Eastern.
You got anything else to plug?
I'm going home.
All right, you know who doesn't ever need a plug? Tyler Fulghum. But he is going to plug you in to certain betting needs that you got to know.
You know, Providence is actually one of the better rebounding teams in the country, but Kentucky is even better. That's because they have the reigning College Player of the Year, Oscar Tshiebwe, a walking double-double. I like him to go over his rebounding prop in this first-round matchup with Providence. Tshiebwe is just too big, too strong. He's a guy who has 20 rebound games this year. I just need him to get to a baker's dozen in this matchup with Providence, and I think Tshiebwe will do that. I like banking on players who we know have a proven track record of success in March. Tshiebwe is that player for Rick Pitino's Wildcats. If they want to win this game and make a run, Tshiebwe's got to have a big day, especially on the glass.
All right, guys, it is now time to look at some of the best tournament upsets ever in March Madness history. We're going to walk through them and just reminisce a little bit, a little nostalgia, if you will. Starting with 2016, and this one I actually apologize to our producer, Shelby, because she's a Michigan State alum. Number 15 seed, Middle Tennessee State ended the second-seeded Michigan State Spartans' title hopes in convincing fashion. They never trailed in a 90-81 first-round dub that sent brackets around the country into absolute trash cans and despair. The Spartans were a very popular pick to win it all that year with the likes of Denzel Valentine, Bryn Forbes, and Tom Izzo's postseason pedigree. At the time, MTSU became the 8th 15 seed to knock off a 2 seed since seeding began in 1985.
You know what's crazy about that one? So that same year, we had just got upset first we were the first upset of the day. We lost to Yale in a 5-12 matchup. So then this one happened. I remember I was at a bar. We walked to a bar to get some food. Get some food. Get some food after the loss. And we saw this one happen. And this one made everybody forget about ours, right? Because we were like, how does Baylor lose to an Ivy League school, right? So then Middle Tennessee happened. And then, we felt a little better about ourselves.
I was the morning show host in Nashville for a while on radio, and they did a bracket a few years ago of the biggest moments in Nashville sports history. This upset actually won that whole bracket for the most significant sports moment for the city. It was a huge deal for MTSU.
Oh my gosh, another huge deal happened in 2022. That was literally last year, and it was St. Peter's. So last tournament, 15 seed St. Peter's was looking like the team of destiny. They knocked off 2 seed Kentucky, 7 seed Murray State, and finally in the Sweet 16 ran into Jaden Ivey in the 3rd seed Purdue. And they kept shocking the world, knocking off Purdue 67-64 and advancing to the Elite 8, the first 15 seed ever to make it to the Elite 8. They became America's team as athletes around the world cheered the Peacocks on. I loved the fact that they were the Peacocks. I mean, it was a really good year last year.
The most impressive thing about that, Doug Edert's mustache, loved it.
I think, too, that the fact that they got multiple wins. It wasn't just one Cinderella moment. Yeah. It was win after win after win.
King, when were you born?
1996.
Okay, so before King's time in 1991.
Oh, son of a biscuit, Christine!
Upset UNLV. That's Fitz's team. That's why he's freaking out. All right, so Final Four, Duke UNLV. A year after Duke got blown out by the Rebels in the national title game, they get their revenge. The Blue Devils would upset the unbeaten UNLV team led by Coach Tark. UNLV had entered the game on a 44-game win streak, but Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner, and Coach K got the job done in what many consider one of the greatest college basketball games of all time, and Coach K would obviously go on to win his first ever championship after that one, and the rest is history.
Their national championship game the year before was probably my most amazing moment in my life as a sports fan. This game was my worst. I cried for a week as a little kid. It absolutely destroyed me. I hate Duke to this day. So it's fine. It's fine.
I'm too young.
I was going to say that, or we already said that. But I love that you have on the UNLV.
They may never make the tournament. I'm the only way they ever get into the tournament these days. But hey, let's go.
All right, let's go to 2013. King was definitely alive then. 2013, the world was introduced to FGCU, a 15 seed that went on to upset second seed Georgetown. FGCU were coined Dunk City. Do you remember how they were just bouncing all over the place? It honestly looked like they were in a circus. No one expected it, and they went on to bust people's brackets all across the nation. Reigning Big East Player of the Year, Otto Porter Jr. finished with 13 points on 5 of 17 shooting. It was FGCU's first tournament game ever in their school's history.
Georgetown just has horrible luck.
Yeah, well, this was like playground ball. Like watching them run around and stand that way, it was just, it looked different.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't know if this makes you feel better about what we talked about, the fact that Duke beat UNLV.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Because Lehigh is about to upset Duke. This happened in 2012.
Okay.
15 seed Lehigh knocking off the 2 seed Duke Blue Devils. You might remember these names. CJ McCollum famously broke onto the scene, scoring 30 points in the dub. At that time, Lehigh was only the second 15 seed to ever knock off a 2 seed, a stacked Duke team that included the likes of Austin Rivers, Seth Curry, Mason Plumlee, and they still had no answer for CJ McCollum. Lehigh would beat Duke 75-70, and again, busting everyone's bracket.
CJ McCollum is a bad man.
That's one of the things you love about the tournament. One guy that has an NBA future can make that kind of a difference.
Look at how young Austin Rivers looks. It's wild.
Surrender Cobra.
What a time. Okay, so Fitz, I heard that you got to hang out with Steph Curry.
Well, okay. It wasn't Steph Curry. It was Steph Furry. Check it out.
I was under the impression I was going to get to interview a dog, Denny. I don't know what we're doing here. Like, I guess you can answer better than Lilo, but you're going to have to do a lot of work here to represent.
Yeah, as Lilo's agent, like I have to be the shield in front of her to make sure that all questions are approved. So, to get to Lilo, you got to get through me first. So
I love everything about that answer. For anybody that hasn't seen this Air Korg on Instagram, you can see all of the trick shots. They're amazing. Most importantly, how did you figure out that she was even capable of doing these shots?
One day, we had balloons for my wife's 30th birthday party, and she was just playing by herself, hitting them up constantly into the air. And we looked around and we're like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could teach this motion and teach her to shoot basketball shots? But I remember when she was able to hit her first ball, there was a backboard into the bucket, and we all looked around, we're like, we have Air Bud. We have the next Air Bud in our making.
Does Lilo have other great tricks that she's capable of?
She can dunk, she can shoot a basketball, she can do our Kobe turnaround. So she does a spin and then she hits the ball.
Do you scream Kobe every time she does the turnaround? Because I feel like that's an obligation.
I have to, yeah. Because in the show, actually bark back at me like she's yelling Kobe. So it's a little bit intense.
Kobe. Kobe.
How did Lilo come into y'all's life?
So I've always had a thing for corgis. I don't know why. Something about short, stubby-legged dogs. So me and my wife were looking for a corgi fresh out of college, and I had a corgi growing up. So I always wanted to raise one together with my wife. We got Lilo together, and we named her after Lilo and Stitch because she was just straight out fire diva, had her own personality and did her own thing. So
yeah, well, as a Disney employee, we appreciate the Lilo and Stitch plug. I also don't know how am I supposed to feel about the fact that a small dog with stubby legs can dunk, and I can't. I
can't either. So.
Steph Furry is by the way, one of the most incredible nicknames in the history of mankind. Were there other nickname considerations for Lilo?
Yeah, so there was a bunch, and social media is unmatched. And when she first came on the scene, we had so many different options. Some of my favorite were the Fluffy Mamba. Steph Curry was just for how well she can knock down shots. It was probably the one that fit the most.
You know, it's interesting because you mentioned social media. When did you guys realize that Lilo was essentially a star?
It kind of worked out perfectly where she learned how to shoot a basket around the same time the pandemic happened. So then I was working from home, so I had a lot of time just to engage, and we didn't go out too much. So it was a different way for us to, instead of taking Lilo to the park, we would just play together, doing all these different tricks and doing all these different areas as well. So it was a good way to just exhaust all her energy. The roles were definitely reversed, where Lilo would hit the ball and I had to go fetch it.
What's her training regimen like now as a, elite dog athlete?
Honestly, like Lilo will get really frustrated if we don't at least do one trick shot a day. And then usually with March Madness and then April, going into NHL, NBA, there's just always things that people are asking for predictions about. So at least once a day for at least 20 to 30 minutes, we're just hitting a basketball and playing around and seeing what new shots we can make.
I mean, there's worse ways to make a living. I mean, Lilo's crushing the game right now. You mentioned March Madness and the requests that come through all the time. How's Lilo sort of helped the sports betting world?
Honestly, for the whole sports world, for anyone who follows the Lilo, I think it's just that appreciation to see like people tuning in games, not only just to cheer on the sport, but to also see if this dog is actually the next miracle predictor, So.
Well, I mean, for our show, she's gone out and picked Duke. And this is tough for me because I love dogs, but I hate Duke. So I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it. How confident are you? And you're in Houston. Houston's the top seed and all. And then all of a sudden, you're giving me Duke. Instead of, how confident are we here, Denny?
We get this question a lot, like, hey, you probably just keep hitting around until Lilo makes the right bucket, right? Until the one that you want. And what we realize is whenever we do that, we end up jinxing a lot of the picks. So we always somehow pick Texas to come out like the first or second round. At this point, we just kind of let Lilo run with it. And because there's so many picks and so many things, we just have to trust in the dogs and the dog we trust, So, but yeah, it was a little hard to bite down for me, especially as a Longhorns fan as well. And also as a Houstonian, two things to also root for, but gotta trust the dog.
Be sure to follow the account, obviously, Airkorg on Instagram. It's incredible stuff. We appreciate you hanging out. And most importantly, we appreciate Lilo's expertise. A little Steph Furry action has been much needed.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it, Jason.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to play a little game called Where's That School? We have two participants with us today, Jason Fitz and King McClure, going to play this game because, there's a lot of NCAA tournament teams who have names but no locations, and we're going to figure out exactly where they're located. Here are the rules of the game. All right, so Christine, that's me, will read the name of the school participating in the NCAA tournament. First person to ring the bell guesses where that school is located. A right answer equals the opponent eats a hot tot. A wrong answer, you eat a hot tot. Winner gets to slap the opponent in the face with a tortilla.
Hold on.
King's looking a little surprised by what it means if you take an L.
I didn't sign up for this.
You're here. All right, we're going to start.
Wait. Can we acknowledge this is spicy and neither of us eat anything that's spicy?
I don't do spicy.
At least you have milk. That'll help you out.
I'm just letting you know, if I leave the show for 20 minutes, you got to take over.
They do smell a little spicy.
Woo,
they do smell a little spicy. All right, we start. Okay, yeah, go on and shake hands. Yeah, okay, cool, cute. All right, Kennesaw State. Where is that located? Kennesaw State. Jason Fitz on the board with what?
Get it wrong.
Michigan?
Heck no! It is located in Kennesaw, Georgia.
That was my actual first guess, son of a biscuit.
That means you eat a hot tot. Who's keeping score? I guess somebody else will. All right, now we go to, how you feeling there, Fitz? Never better. Amazing, needing a little hot chocolate, it's okay. Wet the palate. Let's go to Iona. Where is Iona?
New York.
Where? That's good, but where? Do you know where?
It's in New York, that's all I need to know. I don't need your bonus points.
New York. King.
Eat it.
You get a hot tot. The score 1-1. One hot tot to another hot tot. Hey, we love that for both of you. I'm so glad that.
I gotta admit, there's like a
that's
burn
worse
in
than
the.
what Fitz did. I don't know.
There's a burn in the.
I don't know what they put on here. There is a lot of hot sauce on here, guys.
Can Kenny that made this come out and like eat this at the end?
We'll
Kenny
do that
should have to
next.
eat some of them.
We'll
I
do
mean,
that
I'm gonna
next.
start making rules. Okay. Well.
Third school, Xavier.
Oh, son of a biscuit.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Good job, King. That's another one for Jason Fitz. 2-1, ladies and gentlemen. 2-1. How you feeling, Fitz? You feeling good?
Never mind.
All right, good. Next, we have
Oh, the burn.
Kent State.
I'm gonna
Five.
say Kentucky.
No.
Kent
That's
State?
a hot tot. That's a hot tot.
So where's it at?
That's located in Kent. What?
They just got in my ears and they told me that I get to pick the tater tot
Oh,
that you're
wow.
eating. So I would like to present you this tater tot
It's located
right there.
in
good
Kent,
sir.
Ohio, by
This
the way,
one that's
ladies and
right there.
gentlemen. Right there in Kent, Ohio.
That one is
Not
just-
Kentucky, but
That
I see
one,
what
look
you're
at dripping.
trying to do
It's
there.
dripping. It's
This is
dripping.
dripping in the
Ew.
oh my goodness.
Get ready for the milk.
Oh
Get
my
ready
goodness.
for the milk.
How you feeling? Why does
Didn't cough
Christine
on
not
this
have
one.
to eat any of these?
Because I'm
You know what? I'm
already
good.
hot. Thank you, ladies and
I don't
gentlemen.
even- I don't
Let's
even need the
move
milk.
on to
Wow.
Furman. That should be very easy for everybody. That is, never mind, that'll give it away. Okay, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Looks like, okay.
South Carolina.
Oh my goodness gracious, Jason Fitz! He got it right. It's in Greenville, South
I get to pick it for you. I get to pick it for you. I
That's
get to
another one for
see.
King. What is it? 3-1?
I would like to show you this one
2
right
to
there.
2?
You see that one right there?
3-2?
Gonna have to do a
Score's
little-
3-2.
Oh, because he got a bonus point for.
No, he got Kent. Wait, no, he didn't. I don't remember, but
He
someone
got,
just told me
he
it was
got
3-2.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah.
All right, good job. Eat that one.
Oh,
it's nice
oh,
and
it's-
juicy. Nice
juicy. That's
and
a-
juicy.
Juicy is never a good word, all right?
Yes, it is.
I would rather go damp or moist
Ew,
than juicy any
not
day.
damp. Who wants a damp tot? Looking like he's struggling there, ladies and gentlemen.
How do you feel about
All right, this should be very easy for some folks in the room. Let's see who's got this one.
I gotta get this one.
Howard!
That's
Where is
Washington,
that?
D.C.
Yeah, that's decent.
Okay.
HBCU
What is it
pride.
now? 3-3? Okay. 3-3. Which one?
HBCU
Are you
pride.
gonna, yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I meant to black people. That's why I said it's gonna be easy for some people in the room. What you got? What you got?
Oh, this one
Oh,
right
you
here, sir.
son of a biscuit.
This one right there, sir.
son of a biscuit.
Son of a biscuit
That
or a
one
son
right
of a
there.
tater tot?
Oh yeah, and that one's
Which
damp
one
too.
is it?
That one's moist.
Oh my God.
It's moist. There
It's
we go.
juicy. Looking good, looking good. All right, the score is now tied, I do believe, if I keep that math right in my head.
Oh, it's coming out of my nose. It's coming out.
Fitz is not doing okay.
I'm good.
Oh, well, we gotta move on. Let's go
I haven't
to-
tasted the milk. I'm
didn't?
being
It's
a real
coming out
man
my
right
nose.
now.
It's coming out my nose.
You are also red, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Oral Roberts.
That was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow, King McClure on the board once again. Jason Fitz, you gotta take another tot to the head.
Oh, my bad. I gotta pick it too. Oh, this one looks great for you right there.
This one or this
Get it
That
nice
one-
and
That one
juicy.
looks great. Yeah.
We've got
Oh, that one's falling
one more
apart
remaining.
too.
Okay, can somebody remind me of the score really fast?
Todd?
It is 6 to what the
Wait, I
heck?
have more than two.
It's 6
'Cause I got
to
Iona.
2.
I got.
Listen, yeah.
I don't know.
All right, we have one more remaining on the board.
Get this one. Come on, Ken.
And this one, I mean, Colgate.
Pennsylvania.
Wrong! It's in New York! That's another juicy top for Jason Fitz, and I believe you're getting slapped with a tortilla, my friends.
That is not the worst thing I've been slapped in the face with today. So.
Listen, here you go, bro. This one right here.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to dig that one deep. Yeah,
Get that one. Yeah,
right
nice
there.
and
Oh my
juicy,
goodness, that one is
nice
red.
and moist, nice and whatever you wanted to call it else.
Damn.
Damp. And now he gets slapped with a real tortilla. It's not gluten-free, so
know
it
what,
can get
Fitz?
all of
Fitz, you lucky I like
the
you. I ain't
juices.
gonna slap you too hard, right? You lucky I like you,
He
right?
folded it in half. That's
Slap me
worse.
like my mama did.
It's
Come on.
worse because it's folded.
Oh man.
Oh! I would not advise you guys to play this game. Do what I did. Also, Tyler Fulghum with some tips on what you should do with your March Madness brackets.
One of my favorite plays on the Friday slate of NCAA tournament action is actually fading Tom Izzo in March. Dangerous, I know, but the head coach on the other side, USC's Andy Enfield, has made people a lot of money betting on him in his tournament career. He's 10-2 against the spread as a head coach in the dance, 9-1 ATS in the underdog role. USC catching 2. I think they're a slightly better team with a slightly higher ceiling than Michigan State. So, yeah, I'm betting against Tom Izzo. Give me the Trojans in that 7-10 matchup against Michigan State.
All right, taking a look at the bracket so far and what we see there in the second round.
Is your face okay?
I mean, it was good. I've still got hot talk coming out of my nose, though. I don't know how I feel about that. The Midwest region, oh, man. I mean, it's just like that. I might have to leave the show for a few minutes later. Whew. You're going to have to take over. We see all the action coming here. We get Houston in Auburn, Iowa is a game that we've got a bet going on here as everybody but Gary has taken Iowa in that game. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, this is our bet board at this point. We've got some prop bets going on. The three of us have Iowa. Gary was our guest earlier, our guest picker. He has Auburn, that game in action. So we'll see how that plays out. We've all said no to Coach K being at Duke, and we're about to get the tip-off, importantly, of Colgate, Texas. That game, while you're sitting there saying, why is it important? Well, 3 out of the 4 of us picked Texas to score the first bucket. So that's we are literally about to get tipped as we speak. They're showing the starting lineups, and considering I've already had to eat a bunch of hot tots and get slapped in the face in the tortilla, I am desperately hoping I don't have to spin the wheel of doom. I'm going to be honest.
I hope you do, because don't we have a tiebreaker for both of us?
Well, we could root for King King could get slapped in the face with the tortilla. Would you do the slapping? You would do the slapping,
I would definitely slap.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Oh, my goodness. You got some frustration or anger out on me?
No, you got to slap Fitz. I want to slap somebody.
King could have gone much harder, too, by the way. Okay, important here. Colgate wins the tip. Colgate has the ball.
Please.
Colgate moving the ball. Oh, my God. What are we going to get here? Colgate, Texas has never been more suspenseful in the opening moments than it is right now. Big post move, big bucket, and it's in! It's in! Which means you and I have to go to the Bean Boozled.
That's what I'm talking about, Colgate.
Wow.
Are we sure? Okay, I've played this game before, by the way.
Now, are we just taking one, or is there like an actual process?
let me.
What?
He traveled? He traveled?
No, he traveled.
He traveled. The bucket's gone.
Yes.
Oh, they're talking to us as we go, and then Texas does nothing with it. So now Colgate's got the ball.
Okay, Texas. Really?
Come on, Colgate.
All eyes are on this because Bean Boozled. Did we decide, are we just taking a jelly bean, or are we?
Okay, yeah. So basically, as we watch this game, I'll explain to you exactly what Bean Boozled is for you guys that don't know.
That's a big shot. That's a big shot.
So, Bean Boozled, we get these jelly beans, and they all have different flavors, but one color is 2 separate flavors, okay? So a color can either be liver and onion. So the brown, for example, can be liver and onions or cappuccino. Oh. The red can be Old Bandage or pomegranate.
Okay.
The yellow can be rotten egg or buttered popcorn. The blue can either be
get a bucket!
Or berry blue.
Okay.
The peach can either be barf or peach. The brownish white one.
Did you just say barf?
Yes, that one's it tastes absolutely
Now, when you say barf, like, can we just take a little pause there? Like,
no, it tastes like it tastes disgusting. The brown with white with brown spots can either be stink bug or toasted marshmallow. The green with spots can either be booger or juicy pear. This white one,
Colgate.
Okay, anyways.
2 minutes into the game, Colgate gets the opening bucket.
With colorful dots can either be dirty dishwater or birthday cake. This like fruity looking one with all these colors on it can either be stinky socks or tutti frutti. And then finally an orange one with red dots can either be dead fish or a strawberry banana smoothie.
Hey, it's all good. Take one now.
I'm just saying what the flavors are so everybody understands what the game is.
Okay, so it could be good, it could be bad. We have no idea.
So you need to, do we want to actually play the game or just pick one?
We're just picking it. We're just picking.
Because you can also.
Okay, that's it. Okay, yeah. How do you? They're saying blind pick one in my ears, but
Okay.
go ahead. Ladies
one.
first. Okay.
I already know which one I want.
Okay, I'm gonna take this one right here. Shall we?
Okay, what color is it?
It's pinkish.
That one is either Old Bandage or Pomegranate.
Oh, bandage.
Old bandage.
That's
I don't really
horrible.
know exactly what to expect. And what color did you pick?
I got either Booger or Juicy Pear. Juicy Pear!
Pomegranate.
How do they know what an old bandage tastes like?
Well, there's a whole tasting team, King.
I will tell you.
And they take old bandages.
Can I tell you guys a secret? Because I've had these before.
That was really good.
You've had an old bandage before?
No, I've had these before. The reason I chose the one that I chose is because the Booger one actually tastes kind of good.
Okay. Now that you've revealed that secret, I think anybody that loses a bet, the other person should get to pick their jelly bean for 'em.
Yeah, you spoke too
man.
soon. Yeah, you spoke too soon.
Yeah, that only makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, you spoke way too soon.
So right now, so far, the only win on the board is I'm just going to take these down because we all lost. That's the way we're going to keep track. So
Who lost?
Wait.
Oh,
Or do we take it off the board if you won? I don't know. The main goal is not to lose the most, right?
So wait, what about the guest? Like, what is?
Well,
they don't count.
You know,
Or maybe we should go deliver. We'll give Gary.
Yeah. We can't forget about our guests. They got to take part in this L too.
Well, you're right. We also can't forget about the Midwest region. Look at that segue. But we're gonna get Steph Furry again to help us. Steph, what game are we talking about? What team are we talking about in the Midwest? Let's see who Lilo wants to pick for us. And the bucket is in University of Houston. All right, King, what do you think, Houston?
I like Houston. I mean, one thing you know about Kelvin Sampson and his teams is that they're going to be the most physical team every single time they step on the court. Now, here's the concern. Here's the problem with Houston. Will Marcus Sasser play?
Right.
That's the big question mark because if Marcus Sasser plays, this team is Final Four championship good. Without Marcus Sasser, you saw how they performed in the American Championship against Memphis, who had a great guard in Kendrick Davis. But if Marcus Sasser doesn't play, this team could be in trouble. And this Midwest region is really no joke.
Okay, here's my question, because obviously we saw Marcus Sasser go down, as you mentioned. Memphis beat them in the AAC championship. He has a groin injury, which is, I feel like, an injury that, you can agitate it, when you play a little bit more. So if he is either trying to nurse it a little bit while he's playing, if he's not at 100%, what does that mean for Houston?
It means that Houston will not see the level of success that they expect. And I've had groin injuries. That's honestly one of the injuries that I've had multiple times. And that's a really hard thing to play with because when you tape it up, you're still susceptible to sprain it or for it to basically pull. So when you're running on it and you do so much with your groin that you don't even think about. Like defensive slide, you're literally moving your groin. Being able to change directions and go from backpedaling or sprinting to getting back on the other side of the floor. You use your groin at all times. So it's one of those things where you're always going to risk injuring it or re-injuring it because you're always using that muscle, which is why during stretches, during warm-ups, one of the main focal points is the groin area. You have to be able to stretch that and get that loose, like Fitz showed us earlier in the show.
Yeah, I was showing you all the bendy moves. So if Houston's not 100%, then what does that mean for the rest of that bracket?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I had Texas going out, even Texas coming out of that region, even with Houston being at 100%. But I think right now, Houston might struggle to get past Iowa or Auburn in the second round. I feel like Northern Kentucky, they'll be fine against. But when they go against Auburn or Iowa, whoever wins that game, I think they might struggle in that one. I think what will get them over the hump is their physicality because they're going to try to punk you every single time they step on the court. But I think they might struggle in that one. In the next round, I don't remember exactly who they play, but I doubt they'll make it out of that round.
So it gets interesting to me because Houston is sort of the case study for new college basketball in my mind, right? Like we've lived a long time where, we were talking about greatest upsets earlier, and there was an era where you had 4 years to get everybody together and you had years to build things. Now we live in a one and done society anyway. Teams are rebuilt constantly, transfer portal. We all know this. It provides opportunity. And, Drew Carter earlier talking to us about the ACC and their dominance for years. In new college basketball, any team can come together and put it together. So, on the one hand, I think you look at something like what Houston's doing, and you're saying this is the great hope for where college basketball is heading. A team like Houston can be number one. On the other hand, I still think a lot of people that maybe aren't that didn't play like you did, that don't have the knowledge you have, are looking at Houston with a little bit of like skepticism, right? Like, it's like, it's Houston. It's not the number one seed we're used to seeing, right? Like, I think that just plays into the subconscious of people.
Oh, I think that's that new age. You know, I think we're past the stage of saying blue bloods are just Kentucky, Kansas, Duke. I mean, now we're starting to see Gonzaga. We're starting to see Baylor, sick of Bears. We're starting to see Houston be relevant, have those top spots and take those number one seeds in these tournaments. I mean, what Kelvin Sampson has built at Houston is phenomenal. I mean, the Final Four 2 years ago, Elite Eight last year. Now they have a chance to win a national championship and play in Houston for the Final Four and the championship. Kelvin Sampson, one thing that we know that man knows how to do is win. Wherever he goes, he has won, and he continues to do that. And he's built a Power 5 program that is coming into the Big 12 next year. And is going to make the Big 12 that much better. It's going to be amazing.
It's also interesting to me because we have Iowa up here against Auburn. Iowa, and I know we can say this almost every year about certain teams in the Big Ten. There are games where Iowa looks like they absolutely, like their comeback against Michigan State was incredible. And then watching them get that hot shooting the basketball, you're like, oh my God, if they can do that, they can win the championship. And then 2 nights later, you watch them, and it's like they've never made a bucket in their lives. The massive offensive inconsistency, particularly from the Big Ten, makes it really hard for me to figure out what they're going to look like. Because in my mind, a Houston-Iowa matchup could be great, or that Iowa team that doesn't know how to score could show up, and Houston could just run them out of the building. So, I don't know what to make of Iowa or Indiana or these Big Ten teams that have at times struggled to score.
You're right. There are a lot of inconsistencies within the Big Ten, but the one thing that I've been most impressed with Houston is their ability to not just do it on the offensive side, but defensively. They really get after you. So they can really, they struggle to score at times. The biggest question for Houston is, even when Marcus Sasser is healthy, is will they be able to generate enough offense to win games?
Okay, so my biggest question, because you mentioned the fact that Houston is going to be in the Big 12 very soon. We saw how many? 7 teams from the Big 12 go into the NCAA tournament. If Houston was in the Big 12 this season, do you think that they would be in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if they'd be a 1 seed, though. I think they would have more losses than they had this season. I don't know if they'd be a 1 seed, but they would definitely be a 2, 3, probably in that line.
Okay.
Colgate right now beating Texas 10-9, very early in that game, obviously, but a game that's particularly important for our whiteboard. Boise State, Northwestern. Northwestern is up by 8 right now, and that becomes key because King has the advantage here. So King is up on UNI, and Christine, you and I differed on this game. So whoever's leading at halftime is whoever's losing at halftime will lose this board.
Yes, of course.
At this point. So
and right now it's looking like.
So right now I'm not. It looks like yet again.
We still have 7 minutes.
I mean, we have 7 minutes. Yeah. I need a run at this point. Like it looks right now like I'm going to go from eating hot tots and getting slapped in the face with the tortilla to whatever this board is possibly.
I can't breathe because if I lose this, okay, because we're on the same.
Because you and I are in the same plane.
It's going to end up being Fitz.
King is now squarely fine. He doesn't have to spin the wheel at all.
Wait, where's King? King chose Boise State though.
Right.
So if he takes an L, then you would have to. So basically you're screwed.
King and I already chose Boise State together.
Yeah. So I'm saying you're screwed.
So no matter what,
it's you.
Well, no, not necessarily. If Boise State's ahead,
it could be you. It'd be you.
If Boise State's ahead of the half.
So I'm good. I'm not spinning that wheel. It's going to be one of you two guys.
What?
Right now, I have 1 loss.
Yeah, you have 1 loss. So then I would have 1 loss.
You have 1 loss too.
And King would King would have no losses. So you and I would both have 1 loss. It'd be a tie.
So if I lose,
then we both have to spin it.
If I lose this one, then I tie with. Then I have 1. Fitz has 2. I have 1.
I keep forgetting about that stupid Colgate stupidity.
Yeah, this is where we are.
Thank you, Colgate.
All right, so let's get you caught up on the in-progress games as we stand right now. Auburn up 31-26 over Iowa at the half. That means we all lost, which means we're all about to go bean-boozled. That happened.
But no, because we're all on the same page and our guest isn't here, then we lose?
We were told. King, I'll bring you this. You take it. I mean, I just Duke up 40-23 on Oral Roberts.
No, because I'm scared.
Here,
I said no, because I'm scared.
There you go.
But what if, no, this is the brown. I don't want this.
Look, we made the agreement we were picking for each other.
We should spin the
No,
thing.
here you go. You want to pick one out for me?
Ew. I don't know what this is.
Well, that's the whole point. That's the point of the game here. What are we doing here? All right. All right. Okay, perfect. We will do these later, but first, we've got other business that we need to attend to. Absolutely. Now, it's time for the top 10 presented by Xfinity, where we take a look at 10 players who will make an impact in this NCAA tournament. And to do that, of course, we want our player number 1 to rank everything. King, like any good list, it's got to go 10-1. That's the only thing I demand.
It has to go 10-1. So we're going to start at number 10. This guy right here, and you know what's crazy? You have to put some respect on his name. He doesn't even have a picture. But you know what? I'm cool with this night setup because my man was a Warrior today. And 19-10 to beat Virginia, he was the best player on the court. But we got to get this man a picture.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Although I do like having a King, sort of a knight, I should say, mascot. It's a paladin?
Paladin.
It's paladin.
My question
I had to Google it.
How do we know that Jalen Slauson isn't the one in the mascot suit?
That's fair. Maybe he celebrates, like you mentioned, y'all went out to a restaurant to get food after a game. Maybe he celebrates by dressing up like a knight. Maybe he's a cosplay sort of guy.
Yeah,
Listen,
that's true.
he's a bad guy, and he dominated today and was the best player against Virginia. So we're going to go to number 9, right? Because this guy has to be huge if they want to beat Christine's Miami Hurricanes. Tucker DeVries.
Boo!
He goes to Drake University, and for those who don't know, he's a mix of Kyle Korver, but he can actually put the ball on the floor. I'm feeling my man Tucker DeVries' game.
Yeah, I'm out on this one because it's Drake, and I'm out on Drake. Drake is the most overrated artist in modern music history, so I'm out completely
Fitz
on.
hates Drake, the rapper. I will say that my hope as they play my Miami Hurricanes, as King mentioned, tomorrow, is that the Drake curse doesn't only carry over to players that are, or teams that are supported by Drake, the rapper that Fitz doesn't like, but also to teams such as this one that is named.
Why do you say Drake the rapper? It just could be Drake, like, I mean, Drake the rapper.
Drake the rapper versus Drake the school.
When I say Drake the rapper, it sounds weirdly uncomfortable. All right, King, who do you have next on the list?
I still can't get over the fact that Fitz said Drake is the most overrated artist in modern era. That's crazy.
And listen to how he said, he like acted.
It's crazy.
He doesn't sound like that.
You're underrated.
He does not sound like
You're
that.
You're underrated, King. I love you. I just don't like Drake.
You know what? The disrespect. You know who else gets disrespected all the time? Max Asmus, because this man in 2019 led his team to the Sweet 16, Noah Roberts, and right now they're taking a tough L right now to Duke. But he has to wake up and has to get going if they want any chance to beat this hot Duke team.
It's interesting because when they show these highlights, it feels like the type of player we fall in love with in the tournament, the type of guy that's able to just make things happen, and a little spark plug, right? But against Duke, you know, this is Duke. That matters. And I hear what you're saying. He's got to go off. You know, and
You're saying that because you have Duke in your Final Four.
Yeah, I do have Duke in my Final Four. I don't want my bracket busted today.
Yeah, of course.
King, that's all I want.
Of course.
He's up with a tough task, but this next guy, he's the leader in points and assists in the American Conference. Kendrick Davis, if not the best point guard, one of the best point guards in America. And I actually have them picked to beat Florida Atlantic and upset the #1 seed in Purdue.
I actually picked that also because I don't trust Purdue's guard play, which you and I have talked about a lot.
Yeah.
But I think there's some good pressure right now on this Memphis team. Penny Hardaway always gets great athletes. He's got to put that together and get some big wins in the tournament. I mean, there's some expectations on a legend with that program coming in and making that program legendary, and I don't think that's happened yet.
Yeah, one thing I will say, this is the first year where he's had a true point guard be able to run the show and initiate the offense. So look for Kendrick Davis to have a really big tournament. At number 6, talking about point guards, this man right here has Penn State off to a great end of the season. They won their last 5 out of 6. All-American type player. Jalen Pickett is that dude.
I got to ask about the picture we're using on him, though. I mean, he's showing off the guns, which, by the way, is the guy that works out. I totally get. You know, I understand that.
Wow.
But I'm just wondering, like, it crosses over to the next block on the picture. Like, is the guy at 5 going to cover the gun because you worked really hard for that bicep? Or is the guy going to be elbowed by it? I don't know. Like, I feel like it's kind of uncomfortable for him.
And I hate that the guns go into the next picture because my guy from Baylor, Adam Flagler, is that guy at number 5. and he has to be huge. He won a national championship back in 2019, and in order for Baylor to repeat that same level of success, he has to be Adam Flagler, the superstar, because he's in a different role now in a leadership position, and he has to carry this team.
Christine, did you know that you spell Homer K-I-N-G?
Okay, that took me way too long to realize what you were doing with that.
Like she was going with it. She was like, that doesn't seem right. I was
like,
can somebody grab me a pen and
mean?
paper? That doesn't seem.
No, we're not at all surprised that King has a Baylor Bear in his top 10 of players.
You just said sick him on the couch a minute ago. You can't walk that back.
So I'm a homer, but we'll let Christine slide for having Miami win her whole bracket.
I never slide.
You know what? I'm going to let it slide. But you know what? Jalen Wilson, my guy from Dallas, Texas, who, fun fact, I actually was playing with his dad the other day in pickup at Lifetime Fitness.
Did you take it to him?
And he was on my team. He was on my team.
Okay.
He's a decent player still at his age. But Jalen Wilson has to be huge. We know one thing about him. He's Mr. Consistent. He is going to perform night in, night out, and be that guy for Kansas and lead them potentially to a championship.
Little surprised Kansas struggled early on today. We've mentioned that a few times, and then they sort of woke up. Any impact in that in the tournament in your mind, King?
I do not. I mean, I hope Bill Self is okay with whatever he's going through, but I think this Kansas team, the first game in the tournament is always the hardest one to win because you just have to get rolling and get over that first initial hump. But I think Kansas will be fine.
Sorry, I was trying to find my bracket, so I don't know what you just said, but I have a question for you regarding Kansas. Do you feel like the fact that Bill Self will not be coaching Kansas throughout the NCAA tournament would be a problem?
Well, I think there's two ways to look at this. Number one, you can look at it as we don't have our coach, we don't have our leader. What do we do? But number two, you can always look at it from the perspective of our coach is going through whatever he's battling, hope he's okay, and let's win it for him because we're extra motivated to go out there and bring this back for our leader, for our head coach. So I think they'll be fine. Norm Roberts is a great coach. He knows what he's doing. He's been in that position before. I think they'll be okay.
All right, who you got next on your list?
Man, this guy, I hope he's okay because he's kind of battling a groin injury, and he had 0 points today. But in order for Alabama, everybody has these guys picked to win a national championship. And in order for them to do that, Brandon Miller has to be healthy and has to be able to produce and be that number 3 pick in the draft that he will be.
It's stunning to me when you talk about players like Brandon Miller, and I keep saying this. Think about where SEC basketball was 6, 7, 8 years ago. Players like Brandon Miller weren't going to SEC schools. The investment that they've made in facilities, in coaches, in recruiting is paying off, and now we've reached the spot where I know the joke is Alabama and Auburn are basketball schools now. No, they're great sports schools,
right.
And that has to matter.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's crazy. Alabama was once, forever looked at as a football school, but now Nate Oates has got that program rolling, and they turned it around.
If they win a national championship this year, that would be wild.
Alabama fans will be insufferable.
They're they already are, but yes.
Oh, we talk about a football school. Well, this school right here, I don't think has any football because I've never seen them play a football game. But Marquette, Tyler Kolek at number 2. If you have not seen this man play, he is Steve Nash-esque, and take what I say lightly. But the man can really, really pass. Averages almost 8 assists, second in assists in the NCAA. He has Marquette rolling, and it's something about Shaka Smart in March. He just knows what he's doing, and he's going to figure it out.
I think it's more like Shaka Smart with hair is a different Shaka Smart than he was when he was bald, which I always condone baldness, obviously. But Shaka with hair, also want to shout out Tyler Kolek's hair because he has those bangs that he sometimes just does the Justin Bieber hair flip with. But hair is doing it for Marquette this season.
I think you had him at 2 because he's going out in the second round when they lose to Michigan State. So that's
sure.
Appropriate. You had him at 2. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Wild.
By the way, I have Marquette in my Final Four.
Absolutely
I have Marquette in my
wild.
Final Four.
But number 1, we kind of talked about him earlier, and he has to be healthy if Houston wants to go back to Houston to win the championship. And you know what? He's also from Dallas and one of the best players in the country. Have to throw that out there. Shout out to Marcus Sasser at number 1. My man has to be able to play and be on the court if Houston wants to win a national championship and cut down those nets like they planned for.
Yeah, can somebody tell me why? We found all these pictures of everybody else looking happy or focused or studying. He looks like he's I mean, you just put him at the top of the list because he's got the most aggressive headshot. got there. I like this. I like the list overall, Christine.
I mean, how lit would it be if Houston was in the Final Four and got to play in Houston as a home game? As a player, King, because I feel like I wouldn't want to be like at my home, in my hometown. I'd like the idea of traveling and being on the road to be in the Final Four, but would you rather have, like, if you had to, play in Waco for a Final Four, or would you rather play somewhere else?
First off, Waco would be a horrible place to have a Final Four game. But I will say that's a lot of pressure. I mean, you're in your city. You have your home crowd. You cannot lose. It's almost similar to Kansas playing in the Big 12 tournament the other day. And it's 99% Kansas fans and 1% Texas fans, and they get thumped by 20. That's basically you losing by 20 on your home court. So if you're Houston and you go to the Final Four, you have no choice but to win it all. And if you don't, then you just feel like an absolute failure down low. Especially, you ever had the home games, Christine, where you had the crowd was rocking at your home arena, and all of a sudden, boom, you lose.
Yes.
And then you just feel like a loser afterwards. Not a great feeling.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Well, it's always a great feeling when you put together a list that good. That was your top 10 presented by Xfinity. Players that King thinks will be impactful in this NCAA tournament. That being said, Christine, you had the chance yesterday on Hoop Streams to talk to somebody not about just impact in the tourney, but impact in the NBA.
Yeah, of course. So it depends on how they play in the tournament, how much it'll impact their draft stock. But we did talk about a lot of draft hopefuls and guys that can really raise their draft stock in March. Take a look at this. All right, guys, as you know, it is March 15th, which means it is the middle of March, which means what, Gary?
Yo, you giving us a calendar breakdown,
Just
which
so
means
knows.
we're also almost in the second half of March.
We're also 9 days away from my birthday, FYI.
That's what I was going to say.
It means that the madness will start very shortly, which means we should be looking at some star players that are going to be playing in March Madness that could raise their draft stock with the NCAA tournament. So for that, we're going to bring in NBA draft expert Jonathan Givony to break down some of these players that we're going to look at during March Madness. All right, let's start with a guy who I feel like people are not at all surprised is going to be on this list. That is a guy that is 7'4", and he has legs of a hockey player because he used to play hockey too. That is Purdue's Zach Edey. How can he raise his stock in the NCAA tournament?
Well, he's the best player in college basketball, so NBA teams are going to want to see him lead his team on a deep tournament run, show that he can be productive as the stakes rise, and especially show that he can hold his own defensively. I mean, we know that he's an absolute dominant player on the interior. You see right here with the post-ups moves, the spin moves, great hands, great touch, tremendous footwork, nearly automatic around the basket. He's also an outstanding offensive rebounder. He's a foul drawing machine. But the defensive end is where teams are going to want to see, can he hold his own against more athletic competition? He's got a chance to play Memphis here in the second round, Duke after that. These are teams that are going to draw him outside of the paint, force him to guard on an island. How is he going to handle himself? That's going to tell us a lot about his NBA potential right there.
Hey, Jonathan, from one player leading a 1 seed to another leading the 1 seed, we're talking about Bama's Brandon Miller, who maybe in any other year would be taken first overall, but you have the likes of Edey and of Victor Wembanyama who are going to be drafted this year. So you have Brandon Miller currently as your number 3 in your latest mock. Is that kind of where you see him falling?
No, I think he has a real chance to rise as high as 2. Number 1 is pretty much a lock with Victor at the top. But the battle between him and Scoot Henderson at 2 is an ongoing thing. Brandon Miller has been playing exceptionally well as of late. He just won the SEC Tournament Championship. He's SEC Player of the Year, first team All-American. Those are really strong credentials. A guy that 6'9", playmaking wing, can handle, pass, and shoot. Every team in the NBA is looking for that right now. So the further he can go in the NCAA tournament, the more that's going to help him. Scoot Henderson is not playing anymore. He's shut down for the rest of the season. So really the stage is there for Brandon Miller to launch himself to that number 2 pick.
So Alabama, of course, hoping to win a national championship this year. Kansas won one last year, hoping to win another one this year. And I feel like we haven't talked about Grady Dick that much for those Jayhawks. How do you see his draft stock as they head into the NCAA tournament?
I think Grady Dick is a lottery pick. Every team in the NBA is looking for a 6'7" sniper who can do more than that. You see him here in the open floor, the athleticism, can come off screens. He's a very solid defender. He's a team player. He knows how to play. He knows how to pass the ball. He can attack a closeout. He just does a little bit of everything. And he's 19 years old. His frame's going to continue to get better and better. He has a very high floor as a prospect, but I think his ceiling is higher than most people think.
We have another 7-footer on this list I want to get to, Kyle Jared Filipowski. He's a 7-footer who could run the length of the court, gives you offense, gives you defense. Just a freshman leading this 4-seed Duke team. Where do you see him falling in the draft?
He is all over the map if you talk to NBA teams. Some people think he's a lottery pick, even top 10. Others say he's a late first round or even the second round. The way he finishes the season here for Duke is going to tell us a lot because this is his team. The whole offense runs through him. He plays that Paolo Banchero role for Duke where he shoulders quite a bit of offense. He plays pick and roll. He shoots threes. He passes off the dribble. He's a unicorn in college. He's 7 feet tall, and he can do everything offensively. He's also a very competitive defender. I think he's a better prospect than most NBA teams tell me, and I'm looking for him to lead Duke on a deep run here and make himself a legitimate lottery pick.
I like when our producers put in the line that I'm supposed to say in the script, one of my favorite players, because they know that Jaime Jaquez Jr. is one of my favorite players out of UCLA. How do you see his stock as he heads into the NCAA tournament?
I think Jaime Jaquez has a real chance to be a first-round pick. He's an All-American, Pac-12 Player of the Year. He's an outstanding defender and passer, and he's just a winner. He's a glue guy. He does a little bit of everything. He's been at UCLA for 4 years now. He's going to end up his career as a top 10 scorer in UCLA history. Think about some of the names that have been through that program. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not the most consistent shooter. People have questions about his role in college. He sees a lot of his offense in the mid post. Backing guys down with his back to the basket. He's going to be a totally different player in the NBA. I think Jaime Jaquez is a winner, and he's going to stick in the NBA for a long time.
A 4-year guy seems like an old guy in college basketball, but we love to see it. And we also, of course, love to see you. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's take a look at the West Region first round. Kansas, we mentioned earlier, struggled a little bit, then opened it up, had no problem. Arkansas gets the win in the 8-9 matchup against Illinois by 10. Still waiting, obviously, on the other matchups in that bracket. When you look at the bottom half of that bracket, UCLA, who I have winning it all. So, oh my goodness. West Coast teams never win it all. I realized the minute I said it, I didn't feel good about it. And importantly, Northwestern is ahead at the half.
Which means that Fitz is... Okay, wait.
Before we get to that, we still have to eat our jelly bean from the last...
You have to eat another one,
right.
And then you have to...
So let's
okay, so that could either be...
Where'd you put your jelly bean, buddy?
Wait, why
well, because the jelly bean was from
the last one.
The Iowa Auburn. I brought you the jelly bean.
Well, who won though? Who won? Oh,
that was for the last one.
Auburn won.
Where'd your jelly bean go?
I don't know where jelly bean went. I guess I got to choose another one.
Oh my goodness.
Why'd you keep giving me the brown one?
Because that's the point.
I know it's your color.
So you either have liver and onions, which actually sounds kind of good, or cappuccino. You have either barf or peach, and I have stink bug or toasted marshmallow. Ready?
Away we go.
It would stink bug. I don't want it.
I got liver and onions.
I'm eating barf. I'm literally eating barf, and
I got liver and onions. This is not.
You guys, this smells so bad. I can't do it.
Oh my God!
Wait, let me. Oh.
What is that? Grenade. I have the taste of barf just sitting. Hey, Mom, I want to work at ESPN someday so I can eat hot tots that come up my nose midway through the show, get slapped in the face with a tortilla, and eat some barf. What am I doing with my life?
Now pick another one, Fitz. I'll pick it for you. I won't pick a barf.
You got to pick for both of us. Because King and I both.
Boise State also.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a little.
You didn't eat your stink bug.
Yes, I nibbled it. They saw me.
Does that count anybody behind the glass? Does that count? Does that, look at the amount of this that is still sitting.
Yeah, but it was gross.
Well, barf wasn't.
Yeah, that's the same one that I just ate.
It's the same one that you ate?
Yeah, but it might be toasted marshmallow. Ready? This one might be sweaty socks, I think, for you. Stinky socks.
I mean, this is Like my mouth tastes like vomit right now. I'll just go with this one. No, this is good.
Okay, that one was Tutti Frutti, and for you?
Tutti Frutti.
It's a toasted marshmallow.
I have Tutti Frutti with a little bit of a barfy aftertaste now.
It's not bad.
Oh my goodness, you know what this means, right?
Oh, it's stuck in my teeth.
Is right now when Fitz needs to do the thing, or is that at the end of the show?
I don't get to spin the wheel yet. I have lost the wheel. I have lost the wheel. We'll do that at the end of the show.
Yay, good job, Fitz.
At the very end, Harry Lyles is going to join us now. Harry, why did I decide I want to do this with my life? That's really all I want you to tell me.
Yeah, first off, okay, I've got gripes with everybody here except for King. Let's start with Fitz, okay? Fitz, you've been doing Fitz and Harry with our great friend Harry Douglas now for, let's see, what, it's March, so about 3 months, almost 4. How did you not know Kennesaw State was not in Georgia, bro? That's like Metro Atlanta, basically. So that's one. Hold on, that's one. That's one. 2, Drake is the most overrated artist of this generation.
Thank you.
Talk to him, Harry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, number one. I cracked under the pressure of Kennesaw. I thought it was Georgia, and then last second I was like, no, it's Michigan. I thought maybe it was a place I stopped on tour. It wasn't. I was wrong. I failed Harry. I failed the show. I failed the entire culture. I understand that. Yeah. My invite to the barbecue has been rescinded. But I will stand tall next to the fact that Drake is the Kenny Chesney of hip-hop. He puts out the same song over and over and over again, and I cannot stand it. Like, there's this much variety. I need variety in my acts. I'm tired of the whole.
Are you serious? He dropped the whole pop album.
You got to listen to the whole catalog, bro.
I have listened to most of the catalog.
There's such a range.
It's all about the drum samples at some point all feel the same.
I don't want to hear what you have to say. Next question.
Okay, so Christine, let's get to Christine. Okay,
please. Christine next.
Yeah, so during the challenge, Christine, I did not know you could sing so well because you just kept singing Juicy over the tater tots. And did I hear you say you actually enjoyed the taste of the booger jelly bean? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, it tastes good. It's like salty.
She didn't even eat the other one, dude. She didn't even eat the stink bug.
I just wanted to check, man.
I thought
That's
you knew
incredible.
I could sing.
I wouldn't
I'm a
have
great singer.
either.
I thought you would have known that by now.
Lyles.
I mean, it was just, yeah.
Do you have any beef for King? They're telling me we got to get to basketball, but I'm just totally running.
He said he has gripes with everybody except for King.
No beef for King.
Rankings were great. Picks have been great so far. No gripes. It's just you two, unsurprisingly.
My God.
So.
My God.
It's because you miss us.
All right, Harry.
I do.
You know what? Tell me something about the NCAA tournament. Really, whatever you want. I mean, what are you hot on here? Like, what's in the feels? What's Harry Lyles all emotional about with this tournament so far?
Emotional with the tournament. So here's the thing. My biggest takeaway from today is that Princeton upset over Arizona, right? This is the 3rd year in a row that we have seen a 15 beat a 2, and I think it's like 7 or 6 and 11 years now. This is the product now of not just us having one and dones, but also now you have all these other places for kids to go that are not college. Now college basketball is not the minor league that it used to be. And so now you're going to continue to see higher seeds like that, knock off top seeds. Like I thought it was cool, but it also makes college basketball harder to follow. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I would like to know, King, what you think, since you obviously played as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, you're right. The thing about it is the age gap. So when you look at teams who aren't typically your Power 5 schools, they're old. I mean, these teams stay old. I did a game earlier this year. I think I want to say it was Jacksonville and Bellarmine. And a kid from Bellarmine got his second master's. He's 25 years old, second master's. The oldest player in college basketball plays for Memphis, and he's 3 days younger than me. He's 26 years old, 3 days younger than me. He's been in college for 8 years. That's the name of the game.
DeAndre Williams.
Yes, DeAndre Williams. That's the name of the game, and nowadays you really don't know. So that's why you're going to see more parity in the tournament, because there's older players and they're not scared of these guys.
All I taste now is
and
vomit.
It's funny with
keep talking.
It's funny you bring up DeAndre Williams, because he actually started his Division I career at Evansville. And I remember, because obviously Evansville ties over one of my shoulders here, he came in and me and a couple of my friends saw him at his first practice at the University of Evansville back in 2017, 2018. And we were kind of like, what is this guy doing here? You want to talk about a great story? I know a lot of people like to laugh about how he's 26. I think he's a year older than Jason Tatum, right? Which, like, okay, perhaps you shouldn't be playing college basketball. We did this whole thing with Stetson Bennett. But DeAndre's story is actually pretty unique in the fact that he was able to improve at such a level that he is playing at this high level of basketball at this point, just given where he started. Because I can tell you from seeing him at his worst, when he was 18, 19 years old, that dude has come a long way.
All right, so who are you like really hot on that you think's going to win this whole thing, Harry? Like, just
who's in your Final Four? Who's in your Final Four?
I think I've got Alabama, Marquette, and then I've got Houston and UCLA. And then I've got Houston beating Marquette. I like Alabama. I like the teams that, one, play really good defense. Two, that are going to score layups and three-pointers. If you're shooting anything in between that, you're wasting time. And then I also like the teams that have NBA players and vets. So obviously Alabama, Houston, those two teams have them. Marquette doesn't really, but they've got vets. They've got Shaka Smart, which I feel like we're really not talking about him enough. And then UCLA as well with all their vets, the tournament runs that they've made the past couple of years. So to me, those are the four strongest teams, even with the injury up in Houston. I still think that they'll be in pretty good position to get through that top of the bracket.
I'm a big Shaka Smart guy. Love Shaka.
I'm a big Shaka Khan guy. Does that count?
No.
Shaka Khan.
Hold on, real quick.
Yeah, tell me something good.
My best Shaka Smart story. We're playing UT, right?
Uh-huh.
And I look down. I'm injured. I look down, and all of a sudden their bench cleared, and our bench is about to clear. And one of my teammates, my college roommate, Mario Kegler, he is in the face with Shaka Smart, not a player. They're head-to-head, about to square up. Middle of the game, Shaka Smart and Mario Kegler. And we were like, wow.
Wow.
Wow. Shaka Smart. But you know what? I kind of like that,
He's passionate, man.
Because you know he's passionate, he cares, and he's fiery. Any coach that's willing to do that, he's fiery. Maybe not professional. Don't do the Juwan Howard. But you know, at the end of the day, he's fiery.
Does anybody know where Shaka Smart began his coaching career, one of the places?
VCU?
Not as a head coach necessarily.
I don't think we can afford
Oh, it's probably somewhere that Christine is tied to. So what is it, Clemson or Miami? Yeah, okay, there you go.
It all came back to, we've gotten a Clemson and Miami reference both in this game. So, but I can't say anything because I've gotten two Fitz and Harry references. And by the way, noon to 3 Eastern, Monday through Friday on ESPN Radio. All right, Harry Lyles, we're going to play a game with you before you go. This one's a simple one, but Gary Striewski got 10 for 10 on it, and it's just college basketball player or rapper. I'm going to give you a name. You tell me if they're a college basketball player or rapper. You ready for this one?
Let's do it.
Tiger Campbell.
Oh, UCLA, that's a player.
Jarris Walker.
Rapper.
Player.
Eat a jelly bean.
He plays for Houston. All right, Joseph Cartagena.
Say that one again.
Joseph Cartagena.
Ain't that Fat Joe?
Yeah, there we go. Leaky Black.
Carolina, that's a player.
Yep. Bill Capri.
Oh, man. Let's go player.
Rapper. Kodak Black. Bill Capri. Ace Baldwin.
Oh, wow. Player.
Yep, guard for VCU. Jordan Walker.
That's too plain of a name. That's a player.
Yep. George Ramirez.
Rapper.
Cap G, you got that one. And Jamison Battle.
Player.
Look at
I don't feel good about that one.
No, you got it. That was good. That was 9 out of 10.
You got one wrong.
9 out of 10. I mean, Striewski beat you. I don't know how you feel about that, but, you know, I still can't confirm or deny. I think somebody was feeding Striewski some help. I think he had a cheater on the inside, so I respect the heck out of it. Harry Lyles, thanks for hanging out with us, brother. We appreciate you. All right, let's
appreciate you guys. Have fun.
Let's get you guys caught up on the games in progress. Auburn 60-50. So wait, did we presume that was over? It's not over yet. I mean, there's still time. We might have all eaten something we didn't have to eat.
Yeah, made me take a jelly bean.
Well,
You told us the game was over.
You know what?
Fitz, you got to take another jelly bean.
Oh, yeah, just for
I ain't
that.
taking another. Like, she hasn't even eaten her stink bug.
We'll give you a good one. It's buttered
No,
popcorn.
I was probably still reeling from being slapped in the face with a tortilla. It's been a rough day for me. Auburn up by 10. Duke up by more than 10. 52-29 over Oral Roberts. But don't sleep on Oral. I'm being such a turd over here. You can just reach over and slap me again.
Matt Pace-Smith with 8 points.
Hey, look, this is a big win. You know what? I'm not going to say don't sleep on Oral Roberts, but this shows how good Duke is, the domination.
I haven't said this before, but Sir Jabari Rice has one of my favorite names in college basketball.
That is a great name.
Sir Jabari.
Sir. Texas 37-26 over Colgate right now. So obviously the 2 seed there right now up by 9. They feel a little better than the 2 seed did earlier today when we saw Arizona fall. That is the biggest upset we've seen so far. Northwestern up 38-32 at the half. That is the reason that I have to spin the wheel of doom later on in this one.
Amen.
So we'll see how that goes for me. Probably not well if everything else is an indication. I swear to God, if I end up eating dog food before this night is over, I might just quit.
Boo Booey, also a really good name in college basketball.
Okay, yeah, Boo Booey is a quality name, 38-32. Another quality name, and one of our best, is Doug Kezirian, ESPN betting insider, joining us now from Vegas. You're having more fun in Vegas than I am here, where I'm eating hot tots and I'm being slapped in the face with tortillas, Doug. I don't know what I've done with my life. So far, looking at some of the games tonight, I know you're hot on VCU and St. Mary. What do you like there?
So it's funny. I don't think you're the first person to question their existence during March Madness as these brackets get busted. It's already been a crazy day. Obviously, Princeton with the headliner, but the Furman comeback certainly of it. So with VCU, looking ahead tomorrow, I'm grabbing the 4 points. I'm not a big believer in this St. Mary's team. Now, I will say the analytics like the Gales, and I think they can make a run, but I just don't, they don't pass the smell test, so to speak. We saw them get blown out by the Zags in the West Coast Conference Championship game, which is nothing to sneeze at because Gonzaga is a legit contender, but I think VCU will force turnovers, and we're seeing it already in this tournament when there's an athletic gap. We saw it the other night with Arizona State and Nevada. We're seeing it with Auburn and Iowa right now. When there's a gap of athleticism, it really kind of jumps off the screen, so I'll take the points with VCU.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I might have a little beef with you on this next one because I've been talking about how much I love Shaka Smart, and I also have Marquette in my Final Four, but you have Vermont over Marquette. What's going on with that situation?
So I have Vermont covering with the points, getting double digits against Marquette. I'm a fan of Shaka Smart, but let's face it, he's lost 5 straight NCAA tournament games, including Texas a couple years ago as a double-digit favorite in a game that was a stunner of an upset outright. I just think, we see it all in the tournament, right? Look at Furman, look at Princeton. Sometimes you have to grab the double digits and maybe just hope they keep it close. Now, Marquette is obviously a very impressive team, and I wouldn't be shocked if they blow out Vermont, especially because the Catamounts, this is not one of their better teams we've seen go dancing, but they can spread the floor, they can shoot the three, and that's really all you're asking for. And some of these teams coming off conference tournament championships come out a little flat. It's a short turnaround. We just saw Arizona with an emotional win Saturday night in Vegas to take down UCLA in the final minutes, big tournament title, and they came out pretty flat today against not that great of a Princeton team. So I think we can cover with the points. So nothing against your guy and nothing against Marquette making a run, but I'll take the 11 with Vermont.
One of the teams who I'm very familiar with, Kansas State. Kansas State over Montana State. -8. I know nothing about gambling. I have to admit. I know nothing about the line and the spread and all that. So I need to be educated. So Kansas State -8 to cover versus Montana State. Number one, please educate me on what that means. And number two, why do you like that?
All right, so the point spread is the great equalizer. It's a handicap of a game. So theoretically, I can go play golf with John Robb, and we could gamble on a round of 18 holes. Now, he would need to give me 50 strokes or something like that, but it's the great equalizer. So I mentioned Princeton earlier. They were 16-point underdogs. So if you, the sort of the middle point of a matchup, that's what makes it a level playing field. So in this case, Kansas State is about 8.5 points with Montana State. So that means K-State not only has to win the game, but they have to win by at least 9 points. And that's what we mean by, like just talking about Vermont covering. That means Vermont can lose, but as long as they lose by 11 or less, I win my wager, or they can win outright. So there's a couple ways to win. So with Kansas State, I think they're just legit. They finished third in the Big 12, which was historically an awesome conference. And they have some key players. They have 2 studs. Their coach spent 19 years as a Baylor, under Scott Drew as an assistant, and then he's now a head coach. So he's seasoned. They have top 20 both offense and defense, and I don't think this Montana State team's that great. I mean, they got blown out by Oregon and Arizona in the non-conference. So some of these double-digit seeds are pretty good and can make a run. I don't think we have Cinderella here with Montana State. I think K-State wins this by double digits.
All right, give me one more here. Memphis, Florida Atlantic. What are you looking for in that one, Doug?
This is tough because I like Florida Atlantic. They would have been what we like to say in the betting world, a bet-on team. They're a team that I was looking to back once the bracket came out. But the problem is they're going against Memphis. And I think this is a team that's sort of peaking at the right time. When they're healthy and they're on, they're like a top 20 team, so to speak. And they have a stud in Kendrick Davis. So I really like them here. 2.5. Again, I wish they weren't playing Florida Atlantic, but I just like the Tigers more than I like Florida Atlantic. So I'll lay the short number with Memphis, and I think they can make a run. I really think they can win the next round too, but let's focus on the first round game and we'll do that. But it's been already an awesome start in the sports books here in Las Vegas with these outright wins, and there's, I'm sure, more brackets to be busted.
Hey, Doug, educate me on something for a second, because you're our betting insider. You know so much about the way this process works. I've talked to coaches about trying to get ready for the next round quickly. How does Vegas prepare for strange matchups with a day, basically, to try and figure out 2 teams and how they match up?
It's a great question. So it's the same way they had point spreads come out right after the bracket reveal on Sunday night. So every team has a power rating. And so it's literally just a list. And number 1's probably Houston, number 2, Bama, things like that. And they have a value. Let's say it's 71 or whatever the power rating is. And then it's a decimal point. It's very, it's all analytics. And they literally, it's 2 teams against one another. And they subtract because it's a neutral court. There's no adjustment with the home court or anything like that. Maybe like Auburn today playing in Birmingham, something like that you tweak, but that's how you get the point spread. You literally subtract 2 teams. So when these 2 teams win today or tomorrow and they're going to face 2 days later, it's literally just a simple math of you take 71 minus 67 or whatever the power ratings are, and there's your 4-point spread. And maybe they massage it a little bit by a half point here and there, but after they post the number, they let people bet, and a lot of times with technology, there are professional bettors who have their accounts flagged internally to a lot of these sports books. So if they take what's called a respected wager or a bet from a respected player, they'll move it off that when it's early, right? If the line comes out, it's soft, it's not hard, right? So it's a really soft number, the opening number, and if they take a respected wager, then they'll move it accordingly. So it's a process, but it's real early, it's soft, and then it gets firm by kickoff or tip-off.
Always appreciate your time, my friend. Thanks for the great information. Enjoy Vegas. There's no better place in the world to be during March Madness than where you are.
100%. I believe it's my 10th time with an opening round in Las Vegas Sportsbook, so I'm having a blast out here.
All right, enjoy, brother. We'll get you guys caught up now on the East region as you look across the board. Again, Duke thrashing Oral Roberts, 54-35. Still a lot of action, obviously, left to go in that bracket. And then also, you look at the rest of it, a couple of big matchups there. We've talked a lot about Marquette, Vermont, Michigan State, USC, a couple of big games there. We'll see what happens for this Kentucky team that, has had an up and down season. I will say quickly, to go back to the betting thing, the easiest way I always explain it to former players is like if you and I walked into the gym and they rolled a basketball out and we're just like, all right, King, you, me, one-on-one. We're going to play the game to 50. You'd look at me and be like, all right, I'll give you a 48-point lead and let's see if you get to 50, right? Like that's the way it would work. Then you'd be a 48-point favorite. And you would probably still, you know what I mean? So, like, that's the easiest way to sort of compartmentalize it. And some of these matchups, I think, are hard to figure out. In the grand scheme of things, like, these teams have such different backgrounds, such different styles. So, obviously, a lot of basketball left to go, a lot to go through tonight, but we have seen big upsets. We have seen close games. So, right now, Auburn 64-58. Iowa, that game is tightened up at this point. And earlier in the day, we saw the huge upset. So. Yeah. Brackets right now are just absolutely thrashed. Everybody's brackets across the country are just in the trash bin already.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was trying to look mine up, and for some reason, I think I have multiple ESPN like login information. So I was trying to log into the tournament challenge, but I couldn't figure out my password. But I was trying to see where I had Arizona, because I'm pretty sure I didn't have them in my Final Four. I know that, but I'm pretty sure I had them going far, at least to the Sweet 16. So I'm just hoping that my bracket isn't too busted, and that's why I was really trying to hastily find my bracket, but I can't find it. So
the fun fact here that they've given us. Through the mid-afternoon games, so not even tonight, whatever closes.
Right.
Of the 20 million brackets that were out there, 18,078 are still perfect. So 0.09%.
Are still perfect?
8 out of 8. Yeah, 8 out of 8 picks.
Okay, so when
18,000 out of 20 million
are
still perfect.
That's
not surprising, I feel like.
Right.
But what's crazy is like we think that's such a small number compared to, you know, how many people actually put their brackets in. But 18,000 people to pick Arizona to lose.
That's why I'm saying it's not that.
To win.
That's why I'm saying that's
crazy.
not that low of a number when you think about it, because people had to at least think that Arizona was going to win the first round matchup.
Yeah.
The majority, obviously. So the fact that there's still 18,000 people that has chosen all of these games so far.
It's crazy.
That makes sense.
That's 18,000 people that have a cousin that went to one school and they're like, I'm picking, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is interesting because there are so many teams left. We've talked about unusual teams in college basketball this year, but there are some teams like Tennessee. We've gotten used to Tennessee being good. They're going to come in and play into a bracket that they feel like they have a shot at. Duke, obviously, is a good team. Kentucky has had an up and down year. There are still blue bloods out there happening. And I think we also have to acknowledge that Michigan State, with a 7-10 matchup against USC, far bigger than anything going on the court, this has been a wildly difficult year to be part of that program. And that's something that, you know, Tom Izzo's had to deal with a lot. But I'm genuinely interested to see. I'm surprised they've been able to stay together the way they stayed together after the mass shooting on campus. I'm surprised that they've been able to sort of keep any level of focus. And I have no idea what to expect. Like, I don't know how you compartmentalize that, and I don't know how you play in the tournament. I have no idea what to expect.
I mean, I feel like that's very similar to what happened with Alabama, right? It's like, how are you guys able to still perform at such a high level after something so wildly unexpected happened? And I think that, I mean, as a player, as a former athlete, it's hard to compartmentalize, but a lot of times your sport is the thing that you get away from life in order to do. You know, it's the thing that you kind of go out there, de-stress and disconnect a little bit more. You're just able to perform, and that's the only thing that you're worried about. You get to be with your teammates, the people that you care about the most. So I feel like that is really an escape for a lot of these players. So that's probably, you know, one of the reasons that they're able to perform so well on the basketball court.
Well, and certainly Tom Izzo has a ton of experience leading that team through just chaos. It feels like Michigan State has dealt with chaos year in and year out. So certainly he's sort of the rock that everybody can rely on in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why he's one of the greatest coaches in college basketball.
Yeah.
Because his ability to be able to lead kids, especially in a hard time, that's what makes him great. I mean, it's bigger than just basketball in a sense. It's about life. And I think this year more than ever, I mean, you look at even New Mexico State. I feel like this year we've seen more real life issues happen in college basketball, and we've seen kids have to not only deal with, you know, NIL, transfer portal, but now they're dealing with real things, mass shootings. They're dealing with murders on campus with one of your teammates. In New Mexico State and the case of Alabama, I mean, it's been a wild year, but I think, you know, kudos to the kids who are able to still focus on their sport and to be able to still go out there and perform. I mean, this stuff is not easy to deal with. So for you to be able to go out and still be able to play hard, give it your all, and be able to compete at a high level says a lot about the person.
It also is interesting because you mentioned why Izzo being one of the best coaches. He's also one of the most familiar brands. We've talked a lot about the fact that there are different teams that are prevalent this year in college basketball, but one thing that has been a constant conversation from, I think, the casuals that are sitting around watching it is that in a year where, you know, there isn't a Coach K, we're watching one generation of coaches step away while we're waiting for the next generation to really cement themselves and become, like, college sports are no longer defined by the athletes because they're not there long enough. Programs are defined by the coaches. In college football, we see it all the time. So if you have Lincoln Riley, you're relevant no matter who your players are. If you have Nick Saban, you're relevant. For years, it was as long as you have Roy Williams or Coach K or Tom Izzo, like Jim Boeheim. You know, you look at the names this year that are stepping away from college sports, it makes it wildly different because right now what you've got are, I think, a lot of fans that are trying to figure out which which coaches you gravitate to next.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Greeny go on a very long rant about that exact thing when Boeheim retired. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. We see a lot of young coaches. I mean, that's what has to happen, right? Older guys get old, and young coaches have to come in and take their places. And I mean, if you talk about even like John Shire and what he's done at Duke, like he's already started the program off on a really good foot. So it's not like these programs are getting tossed to like Joe Schmoes, even though we didn't really know what John Shire could actually do. But then he came out and he obviously performed this year when it came to that Duke basketball program. So I feel like it's such an interesting conversation, but also like very much like an old guy conversation.
100%.
Like this is like very much like even like during college football season, right? Where people are like, oh, this NIL is going to change everything and da-da-da. Like everything is going to evolve and change. And I feel like that's the good thing about college sports in general. But I think it'll be very interesting to see, especially because at the beginning of the season, when we talk about Kentucky basketball, or even last year when we were talking about blue bloods not being the same, right? Even when Coach K was still at Duke, right? We're like, everything is changing. Now we have Houston, Purdue, all of these teams that are at the top of the AP polls, and we're like, these are not blue bloods. These are not traditional blue bloods. Even this Kentucky team at the beginning of this season, we were like, what the heck? There was so many things happening with that program. So I feel like it's a what is it called? The turn of the tides?
It's a transition.
Tide of the turns.
Changing of the
changing of the tides.
Yeah. But I think every sport goes through that. Like in the NFL, you have Tom Brady and Peyton Manning leave, and then you watch the rise of Patrick Mahomes. It just takes the world a second to be like, okay, who do I latch on to now?
Yeah,
Younger
100%.
coaches need a minute to like latch on. And I mean, you can speak to this better than I'll ever be able to, but also younger coaches are relating to locker rooms better than ever. So like now you got these younger coaches that locker rooms are gravitating to. It's just going to take a minute. Like I don't think, oh, the sky is falling. I just think that you look at it and say some of these new brands, like if you go to your favorite restaurant and they change the whole menu, it doesn't mean that the restaurant sucks. It just means you got to get used to the new menu. In college basketball right now with Houston at #1 and with a bunch of coaches that people like, how many people even know what John Shire looks like if he walks into Starbucks? But you know Coach K. So it's just going to take a second to get that Q rating, you know, that makes TV stars. Like that's the next rise.
I find it very interesting though that people are always saying that the old generation of coaches. Bill Self has been holding it down at Kansas for a minute.
Forever.
Like, do we not include him in that group of like tenured players or coaches?
Yeah, Self is in there. Yeah.
Right, because even like when I was hearing Greeny go on that rant, he's like Boeheim might have been the last piece, and I think he did mention Izzo as like maybe like the real last piece, and I'm like Bill Self.
I mean, Bill Self.
Yeah, but that's because we're up in New England and Syracuse.
That's true.
Anything happens in Syracuse and ESPN's like, oh my God.
That's true. That makes sense. I was like, hello, yeah, Bob Huggins.
Bob Huggins
is still at West Virginia. Like, there's still guys that have been holding it down at their teams for a minute.
But let's think about it like this, though, right? When you were a coach back in the old days, what did you have to worry about? Recruiting and coaching. So now think about what you have to worry about now as a coach.
Yeah.
You have to worry about, okay, I have to pay this player $400,000 because he's demanding that. Him and his agent are now demanding that. But, okay, the dude, he plays 35 minutes a game. Now the guy who's playing 20 minutes a game, now he wants 100,000, right? So now I got to find a way to get him 100,000. And the guy on my bench as the 10th man, who was a 5-star or 4-star kid that came into my program, he's good enough to go anywhere else and play, and he could probably get a bag. So I got to pay him a little something too. I got to give him at least 50,000, right? So now you have all these other things to worry about and all these different agents. Well, all right, hey, if you don't get my guy this amount of money, X amount of money, we're going to leave. And I can go somewhere else and play immediately. I can transfer within my conference and play immediately. So these coaches are smart for getting out because the old school way of doing things,
they can't figure it out.
It's no longer that. It's more than just X's and O's. It's more than just going to recruit players. Now you're constantly having to check the transfer portal. And what the crazy thing about this whole thing is, I talk to coaches and they say, we have to re-recruit our own players. That is what college basketball has come to.
Yeah.
You have to literally recruit guys on your team. They say if you can keep 6 guys on your roster for the next season, you've done a good job. Think about that.
Okay, and I do find that one part interesting when it comes to college sports in general, because I think at one point there was so much pride in choosing, even when, like, it's so wild. You guys do this whole, oh my goodness, I'm going to choose. You have a whole, everybody's here, you got all the hats on the thing. And it's like, you don't even care. You could go to a new team next season. So I find it very interesting that there's not as much pride in, like, just like, I want to go to this school because I want to represent this school and that's the only school I want to represent. The fact that coaches are having to do that, it's just like a different, I mean, obviously, I think that's the one thing that I'm like old manning about. Like, why can't we go back? I wish that players had more pride in the fact that they're wearing the jerseys that they're wearing and that they want to represent that school for their entire careers.
That's really fair. And I will stress, like, I'm always going to be a UNLV fan, right? Like, no matter what happens, I'm going to be a UNLV fan. You're always going to be a Baylor fan. You're always going to be a Miami, Clemson,
whoever else.
No, but like at the end of the day, the diehards are always going to, like, Shelby is always going to be a Michigan State fan, right? Like, you don't change that. I think what college basketball will have to figure out is what golf has to figure out too. Like, you got to have Tiger, right? So they're going to, for the casual people that are looking in today, how many people that are going to watch Duke are like, that doesn't look like Coach K. Like, you don't even know, right? So, like, that's just a challenge you face. They're telling me to go over to the touchscreen. No, now they're telling me not to go to the touchscreen. I don't know what.
Are you ever going to spin the bottle or spin the
spin the bottle does not seem like Mickey Mouse is going to let me.
What is that thing called?
It's a wheel. It's a wheel. I mean, it's a wheel.
It's definitely not a bottle.
She's Christine Williamson. I'm Jason Fitz. He's King McClure. All right. So I'm just going to peek behind the curtain. We giving our Final Four picks out here? Is that what we're doing at this point? Showing you everybody? All right, King. Who'd you have in your Final Four?
I'm going Alabama, Marquette, Kansas, Texas, and Alabama for the winner. And I kind of don't like the Alabama pick because everybody's picking Alabama. So I kind of want to go different, but when I first filled out my bracket, I chose Alabama, and I guess I'll stick with it as long as Brandon Miller is healthy.
I can't be mad at that. Like, it makes sense. It's just, I don't know, King, you never just struck me as the safe kind. You went safe.
It's not safe, necessarily. It is
smart.
Right. Just kidding. I only say that because I have Alabama as my champion, too. Okay. My Final Four, Alabama, Texas, Marquette, UCLA. I've been talking about Marquette this entire time, so there's no need to even harp on that. But wait, I didn't have, okay, anyways.
Well, you have 732 brackets.
Yeah, I have literally 3 brackets, and I have a 4th one because I have a women's one. I didn't know which bracket this was.
Did you take South Carolina to win the women's?
If I didn't, I would be insane.
You're right.
That's fair. Fair.
I don't know. Like, I kept looking at the women's bracket saying it can't be this easy. No. By the way, UNLV 26-2, the women's team, wildly underseeded. My Final Four, not that I'm a homer, we all have Texas in our Final Four, so let's look at that. You and I both have UCLA in our Final Four, so look at that.
Solid.
But then I went Baylor or Duke. This year, and I did this purely, the minute I started filling it out, I said I'm not going to let one get through. And only because this year has just been incredibly unpredictable to me. So if we have this weird, unpredictable world where I don't know who's good or bad depending on the day, I figure that there's just too much chaos for a one to make it through. So I went with all 2s, 3s, and 4s across the board. I got Baylor, Duke, Texas, and UCLA. And then just, screw history. They tell you that a team on the West Coast never wins. If there's ever been a year, let's let it be UCLA.
Might as well.
And you said guard play. You said guard play matters, right? And that's really all I've got to say about that. Like, that's just now they're making me go to the wheel.
Go to the wheel. Hold on, wait. We gotta. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
Again, I lost over here, I guess.
Yeah, no.
Because no matter what happens, we all agreed on that. So that's me.
Hey, I fixed it. I fixed it for you.
No matter what happens, we all agreed on that.
He broke it before.
King won there. I lost there.
Come on.
I'm so glad.
Wait, so how many losses does Christine have?
1.
Yeah, so you have the most.
Oh, I have 2.
You got 2.
I have 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So come on.
All right. Is this what we're doing?
All right, let's get it.
Make sure you get a good spin.
Dude, that was a good spin. I love that sound. No, that's the easiest one.
Oh, you didn't even eat your stink bug. I got a spoonful of wasabi.
I love wasabi.
And Christine's like, that's the easiest one. Tell you what.
A spoonful of wasabi helps the medicine go down.
I'll spin it again if you'll spin it for you also.
No.
Okay. I mean,
She's not a risky person.
I mean,
so
apparently I'm eating a big old spoonful of wasabi.
Where's the wasabi coming from? Have you ever seen wasabi? I don't know why I said it like that. Wasabi? Have you ever seen wasabi made? Do you know how they make wasabi?
I know it's a cousin to horseradish, but I don't know.
It's literally a plant. I went to this really good place. Yeah, wait, what kind of weird?
Hold on.
Wait.
Wait, what is that?
It's liquid. It's wasabi sauce.
Oh.
This isn't real wasabi. But it smells so good.
You want to eat it?
No.
Then if it's not real
wasabi?
wasabi?
A little bit more. Top that thing off, just like hot ones. You got to get that last dab. Bloop.
Yo, that's a lot.
I didn't know it was going to come out like that.
Christine.
Look at this.
I didn't know it was
look
going
at
to come out like that.
You know, it's Grinch cream, so I'm not afraid of it. It smells a little mayo-y, which I am a little afraid of. Just tell Annabelle
no
I
mayo
love
in
her. There's no mayo in it? Okay. It just has it. Tell Annabelle I love her. Here we go. I'm just doing this thing.
3, 2. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Is it gone? How do you feel?
It's burning all the way down my chest.
You're a different type of man.
You know what?
Shout out to Fitz.
Anything for content.
Wow.
Shout out for King McClure for keeping us smart, for Christine Williamson for keeping us absolutely funny. What'd you say, Shelby? Shelby said something? Oh, Shelby, the whole team behind the scenes. I'm Jason Fitz. It's Basketball Bonanza live, presented by Xfinity. Thanks for hanging out with us. Keep enjoying March Madness. I'm going to go in a corner and die.